A very good morning. We have got that weekend feeling in London here at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in sunny Stratford, home of course to the 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games, host this week to the 2019 World Paraswimming Allianz Championships. Our athletes making their way into the building. This is the scene outside the Aquatic Centre at the moment. It is a glorious weekend set for London, but all the action is happening inside this here venue, the London Aquatic Centre, iconic in the para-swimming world. And that's the scene outside the Aquatic Centre. Here is what it looks like inside. Myself, Stephen Jamieson, alongside Paralympian Liz Johnson, will be bringing you through all the action in the heats this morning. That's the view a backstroker would have as they look up at that very iconic ceiling. And here is the pool. Got loads coming up for you this morning. We've had such a brilliant week. Monday through Friday has given us so much entertainment, and we are ready to go for the final 2 days of the World Paraswimming Allianz Championships, London 2019. The crowd are on their way in. We're expecting some big crowds here over the weekend here in London. It is a city that historically always backs its sport. Saw record crowds at the Para Athletics Championships 2 years ago. And there'll be a big host presence getting behind the British athletes in particular tonight and tomorrow. The hosts have had an excellent meet. Some standout performances from plenty of individuals, not just from Great Britain. My favourite thing is the custom signs that have been made by various swimming families and friends. Really great to see. Here's the schedule looking ahead to today though. And Liz, let's talk them through it. Loads on the way. A lot of medleys today.
Yeah, we've got some fast breaststrokes, some fast butterflies, then some individual medley. Then we hit up some freestyle events for the lower classification groups. The individual medleys are back later in the programme. It's a very, very exciting day, and we finish off again with some exciting relays this morning.
Yeah, by 4x100 freestyle, 49 points. You missed the relays last night. A great moment in the pool. Great Britain setting a massive new world record in the 34 points women's race. Probably wouldn't go badly in that 49-point final. That was how quick it was.
It's true, it was an amazing race. They dominated from the front and never looked back.
Plenty of Union flags waving, but Norway are here as well. The Italian flags are waving. We've got Greeks in the crowd as well. The Americans are here. Team Myers has been in here every night so far.
Yeah, it's been great to see so many countries well supported here this week. Fans have travelled from all over the world.
Yeah, I can see.
The Germans had a good night.
They did.
A couple of days ago.
The countdown's on inside the London Aquatic Centre until we meet our first athletes of the day. SB9 100 metres breaststroke is first up on the programme for you this morning. Everyone getting quite excited, and quite right too. First event then is the men's 100 metre breaststroke SB9. Only one heat of this one. Occupying all the lanes. So we will drop 2 athletes for tonight's final. Stefano Raimondi of Italy is having a wonderful meet so far. Here we go then. Frederick Solberg, Zina Zegaminajad, Shahin Ijadgar, Rick Pendleton, Stefano Raimondi, James LaRue, Rafael Kalinowski, Dmitry Bartzinski, Ariel Schrenk, and Thomas Borg. The men's 100 meter breaststroke SB9, first and only heat. There is James LaRue. For a moment ago. Stefano Raimondi, who's had a wonderful championship so far for Italy. Swims in the S10 classifications, but in breaststroke is an SB9. And he is the quickest in the world this year, 106.06. He's the quickest by a little way. Can anyone stop him in the heats this morning?
Well, a great reaction time from James LaRue of Canada. 1 lane up from Raimondi in lane 5. But there we see the in-form Stefano Raimondi having a really good underwater phase of this breaststroke in the first 25 meters. There is only one heat. 2 swimmers need to be dropped to progress through to the final this evening. Only 8 lanes get used in the final session. And well, James LaRue of Canada, he's waited all week for this event and he's gone for it in the heats, made sure his fast twitch fibers are firing, flushed away any pre-race nerves, and he is leading from the front here, and he looks to be wanting to secure lane 4 for the final.
Yeah, James LaRue is making up for lost time at this event, isn't he? He is flying in these heats. Raimondi seems pretty content to go just in behind him. LaRue just starting to slow down here. Raimondi on his way back in this race. As LaRue slows down. Raimondi might even get the touch there. Indeed, I think he did. Yeah, he did. 1:10.01 for Stefano Raimondi. James LaRue dropping off a cliff there in that final 15 meters. He knew his work was done. But Raimondi, consistent and even. That was the race of a man who's seen plenty of this water this week. Composed, controlled, confident. And he will have lane 4 for tonight's final.
Yeah, Raimondi's had a busy and successful program this week. He was happy to let LaRue just take that out there and finish strongly. Challenge yourself in the final 10 meters. Check that everything is still working as it should be and prepare yourself for the final.
Raimondi on the glide there, just getting in front of LaRue. But a good swim from the Canadian. He's shown he's got that pace to take it out if he needs to. Rick Pendleton of Australia picking up 3rd place in that heat. The 2 that will drop from the final are Schrenk and Borg from Spain and Malta. The women's 100 meter breaststroke SB9 will be going straight to final later on. So we've got a men's event coming up in just a moment.
Been some really good headgear this week in the supporting stands.
That's a really good point. Seen some wonderful, wonderful headgear. That's Team Norway. Sweden in the house as well. What a night for New Zealand yesterday.
The flag's the wrong way around. New Zealand, quick, turn it round.
Cameron Leslie setting that wonderful world record, breaking a 15-year time. Talk about wonderful headgear it is. Greece well represented again. They've got Dimisenis Mikolantzakis going later on today. He's one of a cluster of athletes who've completed a golden hat-trick at these World Championships. Pat Banger has been here every day for Australia.
The birthday one or the U Ripper one?
I'd be concerned if it was the birthday every day.
I was gonna say. Oh, there's Jessica Jane Applegate's fans in the crowd.
I must say, I'm a huge fan of the homemade quality of that banner. The French are here. We saw these guys yesterday getting right behind Alex Portal of France. France had a wonderful night last night. 3 bronzes and a silver from Alex Portal. And the bronzes coming from across the rest of the team. Brilliant night, and just goes to show, every nation seems to have had one night where they've really delivered. Australia had a fantastic night last night as well. I think 7 or 8 medals for the Aussies in total yesterday evening. Here come the boys then for our next event, the men's 100 fly S13. Here's your start list then. Taliso Engel, Germany. Nicolas Guy Turbide, Canada. Alex Portal, France. Islam Aslanov, Uzbekistan. Alexei Vichenko, Ukraine. Roman Agalikov, Kazakhstan. Enrique Alhambra, Spain. No wonder the French are looking so excited. Alex Portal has had a fantastic meet. Youngster from France. Goes in lane 3 of this one. There's the second quickest into the event, Islam Aslanov of Uzbekistan.
Well, getting away well there in that centre lane is Aslanov, the fastest into these heats this morning, heat number 1 at least. And already we see how important that underwater work is, because he came up a body length, half a body length ahead of the rest of the field. But also going well is Rodchenko, 1 lane to the right of him for Ukraine. But it is Aslanov at the turn, almost half a second above the rest of the field.
Yeah, Aslanov swam really well earlier on in the week. Uzbekistan have a really good group of visually impaired swimmers. All coached really well, competitive across a number of events, across a number of different races, both male and female. Aslanov has taken this one out pretty hard. He's eased off towards the finish here. Vichenko coming pretty close, but a win for Aslanov in a decently quick time as well. 57.2 isn't slow by any stretch of the imagination. He's got plenty in reserve. He's gone 56.05 this year. And there's a loosener for Islam Aslanov. Alexei Vichenko, meanwhile, going along very quickly. His quickest time of the year he's saved for these heats this morning. Alex Portal of France picking up 3rd.
Oh, there'll be some more time in those finishes tonight. And they're going to need them because there's a fast second heat.
Quite. Aslanov, Vichenko and Portal in the 1, 2, 3 for heat number 1. Second heat on the way. Fairly quick heat. Anything under a minute, pretty much going to get you into the final, I think. Maybe an early wait for a Galikov there. Just outside the 60-second mark. Here goes heat number 2 then. Gerasimos Linyos, Greece. Yuzefa Tuzemshkajayev, Uzbekistan. Ihar Boki, Belarus. Kirill Pankov, Uzbekistan. Kirill Garaschenko, Ukraine. And Boyasan of Spain. Mentioned the good cluster of Uzbekistani swimmers. Tursun Kajayev is in the mix there, alongside Kirill Pankov. Here is the great man, Ihar Boki. Only dropped 1 race this week. I say dropped, he got a bronze in the breaststroke, his weakest event. Other than that, he has been next to unstoppable. There he is. He is the best part of 4.5 seconds quicker than the rest of the field this year. He's swimming well, we know that. He does love the flight, and that's where you see he gets such a good advantage right out the traps.
Yeah, his reaction time's no better really than everybody else's, but he really uses the underwater phase of his starts and his turns so effectively across all of the strokes, across his entire swimming program. And that enables him then to conserve energy when he's above the water. So here we can see again, like, just that effortless but very powerful. It's deceivingly strong, his underwater kick phase. But he comes up and then he just carries that momentum. And we can see here, he's 2 body lengths ahead of everybody at least, but he's continually pulling away from the rest of the field. But he makes it look so smooth and comfortable.
Yeah, absolute natural, isn't he, Harbocky? That's a quick time. Really quick for Harbocky. 54.36 is rapid. He is swimming really well in the flight. He set 53.91 earlier on this year. Just 600ths of a second outside his world record that he set at the Paralympics in Rio. But he's already on his way out the pool. Job done. Championship record in the heat. See you in lane 4. And the only thing that's missing really for me Harbocky's week is a break of one of his own world records. That looks a little bit vulnerable tonight, looking at how strong he was there. And he looks comfortable.
Yeah, he's flirted with a couple of them this week, but this is the one that looks, I think, the most in danger.
Harbocky wins that one by a distance, then 4 seconds clear of Tursun Kajayev of Uzbekistan, and Pankov, his teammate. Garaschenko will make the final. Not sure Santh and Linyos will. We're about to find out. Here is that start list then for tonight's final. Agalikov has crept in there. Garaschenko will have an outside lane. 3 Uzbekistani swimmers represented. Alexei Virchenko will have an inside lane alongside Harbocky. The women's race is next upon us. Saw some fantastic S13 racing for the women yesterday, and some familiar faces joining us out on the pool deck. Here's a start list for heat number 1. Soon, Singapore. Pergolini, USA. Tosh Palatova, Uzbekistan. Pikolova, Russia. Lukinenko, Russia. And Nila Labuda of Germany. Daria Pikolova there, getting herself prepared. Here Pergolini limbering up. Here is the quickest entrant into this race, Shok Sanamkon, Tosh Palatova of Uzbekistan. Second fastest in the world this year. This is a mixed event, so whilst the medals will go later on tonight to those in the top 3 places, plenty of S12 swimmers swimming up in this S13 race.
Yeah, and we've seen it all week. The young American, Gia Pergolini, always getting a good start off those blocks or off the wall, even on the backstroke. And here she goes well. But now she's being caught by Daria Pikolova, who was the world champion back in Glasgow in 2015 before she got married, swimming then as Daria Stukalova. So she's obviously making a very good return to competition here this week.
Been a great week for the Russians back in international competition after their ban ahead of the Paralympic Games 3 years ago now. And they're on a mission to make up for lost time, a lot of their swimmers, many of whom debuted on these shores in Glasgow in 2015. And as they come towards the wall here, it is a pretty comfortable victory in the end for Pikolova in front of Tosh Palatova. Gia Pergolini coming in well over 4 seconds behind.
Well, Pikolova there picks up where she left off.
It's amazing how many have done that in the absence of international competition. Let's just go does just show, there we go, got it out eventually, how competitive and how effective that training program is back home, without the absence of international competition to spur each athlete on and to improve times that way, all in the training pool.
Well, I think many of them felt like they had unfinished business, and so they were committed to continue to train and waiting for the opportunity where they did get to show the world just what they are capable of, and they have been doing that plenty of times this week across a range of classifications, a range of events, and it's contributed to some very strong racing.
Yeah, it certainly has. Pickle then picks up the win comfortably in front of Tosh Blatova. Those are the confirmed results. Would imagine Gia Pergolini and Daria Lukinenko will get a look into tonight's final, but we will have to wait and see. Heat 2 is really stacked forward, very, very fast swimmers. Plenty of recognisable names in this one. Reuter, USA, Kravtsov, Germany, Gilly, Italy, Myers, USA, Entralat, Germany, Ferreira, South Africa. Rebecca Myers has, for my money, done well to be present today after her mammoth effort yesterday. There's Lena Kravtsov of Germany. But Rebecca Myers, an incredible effort really from the American, who swam the 200 medley and the 100 freestyle within 10 minutes of each other at a world championship level. And she was very competitive in them both. Broke the world record for the SM12s in the medley and got on the podium in the 100 fly 10 minutes later. Fantastic swimmer.
Yeah, and Myers of USA, she is the Paralympic champion in this event, now swimming in the S12 category, but this is a combined event. So Elena Kravtsov of Germany, also an S12 in this heat. Everybody else S13, so they are racing against their own categories, world records or regional records, but if they want to get on that podium, there's only one set of medals, so they'll need to be in the top 3. And it's world champion in form Italian, Carlotta Gilli. She's also the world record holder, set that last year. So she's really come on the scene and she's really controlling this butterfly from the front. And she will be the athlete with the target on her back tonight that everybody is trying to catch up.
Yeah, and the doubt is if anyone can. Gilly has looked so comfortable this week. Just fading off here towards the end of the race. Myers on the comeback trail in this one. But Gilly still will get the touch. And I would imagine the central lane as well. That's comfortable by her standards. 66.24. Rebecca Myers coming in a little way behind her, but we'll forgive Rebecca Myers for a cruising heat swim after her exploits yesterday. Just about getting the muscles going on day 6 of these championships. Gilly then with a good time, 66.24. Myers in second place. And we're just waiting for confirmation of third and fourth. And also Lena Kravtsov, who got there 112.53, just in front of her teammate Marlena Endralat.
Yeah, that was a very controlled heat swim there from the Italian athlete. She knows she's in good form, but also with butterfly, if you slow it down too much, sometimes your stroke falls apart. So there's a very fine balance in a heat swim between
very rhythmic stroke, isn't it?
Yeah, between saving your energy, but like not letting your stroke completely fall apart. And we did see there as she slowed down in the final stages, she finished very well, which just shows the class that she has on this stroke.
Yeah, class is the word. She's a very, very classy swimmer, Carlotta Gilli. 66.24 wins the race. Myers, Kravtsov and Endralat follow. I think all 4 of those ladies will get a lane in the final. We are about to find out. Here is the finalists for later on, and they do indeed. Pikolova sets the quickest time. Roxana Kontosh-Blatova in behind her. Carlotta Gilli does pay in a sense for her slightly cruisy swim, but she will be having a pretty good lane and will go in as the favourite for tonight's final. Here's an event I always love because it's totally unique to the Paralympic swimming programme. Men's 150 individual medley. And this, for those of our viewers who aren't necessarily too familiar, what sets 150 medley apart from a 200?
So the 150 metre individual medley, all that happens is they drop that first length of butterfly. So we will see the starters down the other end of the pool. They will continue, they'll start as if they were on the backstroke, then they will do the breaststroke and the freestyle. So it's the back 3/4 of a 200 metre individual medley. It's due to the level of impairment that these athletes have. This event isn't open to the full Paralympic programme, and it's because the butterfly requires a muscle group that a lot of the athletes just do not have control over. So therefore, to make it fair and competitive, they drop it and have it as a 150 medley. I said it before, but I wish they got you. I bet, and some of these athletes also wish that you could choose which of the 4 strokes you dropped, but that is not the case. I'd love a 150 medley without backstroke.
The men's 150 medley heats then. Dvorsky, Ukraine, Kostakis, Greece, Kelly, Australia, Castorena, Mexico, and Tops of Germany.
Well, we talk about it a lot, and the exciting thing about an individual medley is it plays to different athlete strokes. And we see a lot of different techniques. And there we saw from Ahmed Kelly of Australia in lane 4 in that yellow heart, his underwater backstroke kick was actually a breaststroke movement. And we can see now he's using that double arm stroke, but going very well. At the top of the picture is young German athlete Hosea Tops, right there with that fly leg kick as he tries to get an advantage down this backstroke leg. Because once we go on to the breaststroke, Ahmed Kelly of Australia, he is a breaststroke specialist. He will look to reel the young German in.
And they come towards the first turn here. Josef Top of Germany will lead them out. He turns in 56.6. Ahmed Kelly follows him. You can see the breaststroke kick of Ahmed Kelly is really, really powerful.
Yeah, it's a very effective technique. Ahmed Kelly has a quadruple amputation, but what he manages to do is get a force from that top part of his legs to push the water and propel him forward. He uses his arms pretty much to balance him out and make sure he can lift that head to take on oxygen, but really it's those legs that are doing all of the work for him there. Now we can also see Arnulfo Costrina of Mexico making a breaststroke charge. We saw him swim very well earlier this week to get on the podium. He won his first Paralympic gold medal in Sydney in 2000. So there's a lot of experience in this field, but Ahmed Kelly here has had a brilliant breaststroke leg. He's really maximised his strength down this length, and he'll turn first as they head for home. And you can see how effective Kelly's breaststroke leg is, because even on freestyle he uses it. And the thing with freestyle is you can actually do any stroke, but the problem with it in an individual medley is a lot of people who normally do fly for freestyle are restricted, because you can do any stroke on freestyle in the medley on the freestyle leg as long as you haven't already used it. Whereas obviously in the 150 medley, you haven't used butterfly. So here we see Ahmed Kelly doing more of a butterfly type stroke on the freestyle leg.
Yeah, it's almost a fly breaststroke hybrid, isn't it? The top half's doing fly, the bottom half doing breaststroke. It's incredibly effective, this, for Ahmed Kelly. And this is what we talk about so often. It's often in para swimming, it's about making the absolute most impact, the most force, the most power you can with the power that you do have. And Ahmed Kelly in no way conventional, but it works for him, and doesn't it just? 303.71 for the Aussie. Going quite a long way behind him is Castorena of Mexico. And Ahmed Kelly there, well in front of the rest of the field, and well capable of going a lot quicker.
Yeah, he looks strong and controlled there, and as you said, he's adapted his strokes very well, and he works within the parameters of what his body is capable of doing.
Yoshi Top, having led out on the backstroke, comes in on the free. Away to the crowd from Ahmed Kelly. It's an oceanic record. He has swam quicker than that this year. But I would imagine that was in a meet where continental records weren't officially verified. Do just keep an eye on that a little bit later on. 256.26 is his time this year. Obviously set in a meet where records weren't necessarily being verified on a global scale. Here, of course, the World Championships, they very much are. So new oceanic record, and don't bank on another one not going tonight when Ahmed Kelly comes again.
Kelly's so effective around the walls. That also helps. And actually, it's almost like a fourth stroke, the turns. A bit like in a triathlon, you have that whole transition being the fourth discipline. The starts on the turns can make or break a swimmer's race and result if they get it wrong.
Especially the starts at these lower classifications. If you can get a little bit of a jump on your opponent, it does make a big difference. Here is our final swimmer coming in. This is Yuri Dvorsky of Ukraine. And a big cheer from the crowd as well. SM3 athlete. And there's the winner, Ahmed Kelly of Australia. Strong and smooth. And with more in the tank as well. Oceanic record officially confirmed. 303.71. After in second. Kostakis in third. 5 swimmers in that first heat. 7 coming up in the second. And we'll lose 4 in total for the final later on tonight. Here come the athletes then for heat number 2. And this is the quickest man in the world this year, Diego Lopez Diaz of Mexico. Had a wonderful home championship 2 years ago in Mexico City. Grant Patterson of Australia setting up his starting apparatus. Do see a wealth of different starts in these lower classifications, as we talked about a little bit before. Athletes try and gain the absolute maximum that they can. Lopez Diaz looks very, very focused. I thought for a moment Patterson was going to go in off the scooter there. He's that iconic scooter. He is such a character. Grant Patterson, really popular member of the Australian team. There you go, Lopez Diaz is in the zone, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not giving anything away, is he?
No, it's Ihad Shalabi, Israel, Youssef Al-Sayed, Egypt, Marcos Rafael Zarate, Mexico, Diego Lopez Diaz in Mexico, Grant Patterson, Australia, Shakon Kayasi, Thailand, and Alexei Talai of Belarus.
Now we do see that range of starts of these athletes in this second heat. As long as you have a part of your body touching the wall at the start, then that is a legal way. And a lot of these athletes don't have the ability to get themselves up and into that flat position, which is why they start with their feet held at the wall. And, well, the man who was in the zone behind the blocks, Diego Lopez Diaz of Mexico, has taken it out. We can see why he was in the zone, because he's flying down this first 50 meters here, dominating this backstroke leg.
Fantastic start from Diego Lopez Diaz. The vast majority of his strength coming from his chest and his shoulder muscles. Very, very effective backstroker. Not half bad on the breaststroke either.
No, and Thailand's Kursi going very well down that backstroke leg too. But Grant Patterson of Australia, he is a breaststroke specialist. And here we see him now starting to move away, starting to consolidate that second position as we hit the halfway point of the race. But going very well still is Lopez Diaz of Mexico. Scooter Patterson, though, making up ground here. He is utilising that breaststroke effectively, because you saw just how good Lopez Diaz was on the backstroke. And a similar thing will happen when we get onto the freestyle. So Grant Patterson needs to give himself the best chance here to be on level terms. If he can go in ahead of Lopez Diaz at this final turn, and that would be brilliant. But he will settle for being in line with him.
I think he is going to be ahead by the time they turn for home. Great 50-meter breaststroke from Patterson there. Second and change in front of Lopez.
There again, from that underwater shot, you see how these athletes adapt the way that they swim. Lopez Diaz has a more traditional freestyle stroke, but it's limited by his impairment, whereas Grant Patterson does a one-arm freestyle above the water, but then the arm that's under the water does a breaststroke pull. So again, maximising the use of the limbs he has available to them in the range that he does so. But here is those longer arms of Lopez Diaz, the Mexican that led at the start, that are now taking him into the lead and clear of Patterson, who looks like he will consolidate that second place touch.
Yeah, Patterson will come in second place, no doubt about that. He's way in front of third. The winner will be Lopez Diaz then. 3:04.25. Very similar time to Ahmed Kelly. A little bit slower, about half a second. Nice embrace between Patterson and Lopez there. Third place will go to the other Mexican in the race, Marcos Rafael Verate. Two Mexicans share a moment. And coming now is the Thai athlete in lane 6, Chapon Kawestri. We do have a mixed race here. We did have one SM2 submit in the race in the last heats. Didn't start Bruno Becker, but we have two SM1 athletes in this race as well, in Igor Chalabi of Israel and Alexei Talai of Belarus. And just a strong finish from Yusuf El Sayed of Egypt. He's in the SM3 class. And he's from an African record, 4:14.68.
Well, we talk about how different nations make progress with one athlete at an event, and then that helps the development of the sport. And we have seen how Egypt, after getting their first ever medal at World Championships back in Mexico, now seem to have a more versatile squad at these championships.
And as they come towards the wall here, the touch once again for Lopez Diaz. Not on the outside, just coming in is Alexei Talay. And in lane 1, Ihad Shalabi of Israel did set an incredible time, but I think he's just about to have it taken away from him. He swam 4:44, Ihad Shalabi, and that would have been a world record in the SM1 class, but we are seeing on our monitors that it is going to be a disqualification for Shalabi, which would be a huge shame. It was an amazing swim from the SM1 athlete. And Shalabi is indeed denied that world record swim. He'd have absolutely smashed that as well. Miles inside his old time from last year's European Championships. Real shame that for Shalabi. Alexei Talay coming in 5:15. Very respectable time from the Belarusian. As Lopez Diaz and Grant Patterson in particular make their presence felt ahead of tonight's final. Ahmed Kelly, Diego Lopez Diaz and Grant Patterson will be the three to watch in that 150 IM a little bit later on. Well, sport is very cruel at times, isn't it, Liz? Very, very cruel.
Yeah, I always used to think, I wish they would have just told me at the point I got disqualified, so I would stop and I wouldn't waste any more energy, but you never know where it is. So
I did once see in a 1500 metre race once in this pool, actually, at a regional event, someone false started in the 1500, did the whole race.
I would have just stopped.
Here's the start list then for our next event, which is a 50-metre backstroke for the S5. Puchit Inchiapum of Thailand goes in 1. Abbas Karimi of the refugee para team goes in 2. Beytullah Iroglu of Turkey in 3. Yaroslav Semenenko, Ukraine. Antony Ponce Bertrand of Spain. Dmitry Cherniayev of Russia. Jamari Seeger of Malaysia. And Bülent Ottarachi of Turkey. This will be very, very quick. Keep an eye on Yaroslav Semenenko in lane 4. Both he and Wang Lishao have been lightning fast this year in this event.
Take your mark.
Yaroslav Semenenko of the Ukraine in lane 4. He's the European champion of the swimmers in this heat. He is the fastest in the world this year. And here we can see he's driving his leg kick from that hip movement. We've seen him in relays already this week. He's swimming very, very well. And here we see him leading by a considerable distance as Antony Ponce Bertrand of Spain comes through to take the second place, it's looking like, with Beytullah Iroglu of Turkey in a solid third position.
35.02 for Semenenko. His stroke is so effective in a 50 back. It really is.
Yeah, relatively comfortable there for Semenenko this morning, and he still managed to break a championship record.
It was a heck of a swim, 35.02. Quicker than anyone has ever been in a World Championships before. Great start for Yaroslav Semenenko. Second goes to Antony Ponce Bertrand of Spain. And Beytullah Iroglu of Turkey picked up third. But the gauntlet has been laid down then for Wang Lishao of China, the current world record holder. And man in form as well. He set his world record in Indianapolis earlier on this year, back in April at the World Series. Championship record then for Semenenko. There's qualification in the outside lanes there for Jamari Seeger of Malaysia. So pretty quick heat there. And there's a fair few athletes to be dropped here as we take a look at the start list for the second heat. Plotnikov, Russia. Kubasov, Russia. Song Wishan, Thailand. Bocciado, Italy. Wang, China. Diaz, Brazil. Dalia, Kazakhstan. Zulkafli, Malaysia. And Rocha, Portugal.
your marks.
There we saw again a range of starting apparatus off the start. Paralympic champion Daniel Diaz in the yellow hat for Brazil using that strap, but it was the new world recorder Wang Liqiao of China who gripped that towel with his teeth and swimming with that double leg kick, similar to the technique that we saw Semenenko use in the first heat. Now Wang has changed to a freestyle leg kick, given himself a little bit of a rest, and now he's gone back to that fly kick for the final 5 meters of the race.
Such a quick standard in the heat this morning. 35.81 for Wang Liqiao, the world record holder. Little bit slower than Semenenko, so Semenenko lands the first blow really in this battle as we head towards tonight's final.
Wang, though, definitely eased off in that second third of the race, changed up his leg kick style. You'd expect him to maintain the leg kick, the butterfly leg kick technique for the entire 50 meters when he is going full pelt, but he has got not much of a margin. This year these two athletes were only separated by 0.2 of a second, so there is potential for a very close race tonight. And Daniel Diaz there, who comes in to take the second position touch, he is the third fastest in the world this year.
Well, keep an eye on that one tonight. Wang Liqiao wins it, 35.81. He did set a massive new world record in the 50 fly earlier on this week. And similar to this event, he didn't look pedestrian in the heat, but he looked like he cruised it a little bit and then exploded in the final later on. Took a second and a half off his 50-meter world record. Do not bet against him doing that tonight. He is extraordinarily quick with that technique. That was the final list of athletes who made it through. Then Semenenko, Wang and Diaz, the headliners heading into that race. Let's turn for the women's S550 back. Sontag, Germany. Narita, Japan. Boggioni, Italy. Talamona, Italy. Deng, China. There is Monica Boggioni in lane 4. She's very calm and very focused. Ariana Talamona, one of the stars of the meet so far, didn't have a World Championship medal to her name when she arrived in London, and now has multiple. And one of the breakout stars of the meet, Peggy Sontag of Germany, goes from the outside. Just told to relax by the starter. They just released the tension that was held in their arms for a moment.
Take your mark.
Well, this race promises to be extremely close this evening. The top 3 athletes in the world this year only separated by less than half a second. And it is the 2 Italians in the centre lanes of that blue cap, going very, very well. In form, Ariana Talamona, who's had a dominant performance in the freestyle events this week, going very, very well here. Monica Boggioni, she's the fastest lady in the world this year at the moment in this heat, going strongly as well. And Japan's Mayumi Narita also trying to keep up with the high standard that the Japanese team have set this week.
Talamona then wins it. said that a few times this week. Borgioni in second place, Narita picks up third. Two Italians seek each other out. Talamona really having a wonderful championships.
Yeah, she's found her form at exactly the right time.
We say that. Up in the venue, it looks like we've had a DQ, and it looks like it is for Arianna Talamona. So Borgioni, who finished in second place, looks like we'll qualify through in first. This is the swim from Talamona. And the official results are in. They are confirmed up in the venue, up on the scoreboard that myself and Liz are looking at whilst you watch the ending of Talamona's race. And here we go, it is confirmed. Talamona disqualified. He will not make tonight's final. Monica Borgioni will qualify fastest through in her stead. Narita and Deng therefore second and third. And that's the first real black mark on a wonderful week for Talamona.
Yeah, she'll be disappointed with that.
Heat 2 quickly upon us. Chevelle, Belarus, Ozturk, Turkey, Biachi, Turkey, Perales, Spain, Shen, China, Wang, China. This qualification came in very, very quickly there. Saw a couple yesterday when there was a lengthy discussion on the pool side. Not the case in that one. There is Samay Biachi of Turkey, quickest in the world this year, 45.21. She has set.
See, there are two Turkish athletes using that starting cord, pulling it to full tension to give themselves the best opportunity to use the purchase off the water. And it was Biachi with the best start, just popping up 14.5 meters, going very well with that butterfly leg kick. She's extending her lead over her Turkish compatriot 1 lane closer to us. And normally she would expect the charge of Teresa Perales of Spain in lane 5 and Shen Yuntong of China in lane 6 with those strong arm pulls to start to reel her in. But here, Biachi having a wonderful swim to take this victory in this heat. 44.49 is the time for her, faster than she's been this year, so she'll be very happy with that, the young 15-year-old from Turkey.
Yeah, Turkey this week have had a really good championships. Lots of young athletes coming out of Turkey at the moment.
Well, I might have credited her with 1 year less. The teenagers from Turkey, they are 15 and 16 this year, both 16 by the turn of the new year, going into Paralympic year, but they've been coming to major championships now for a few years, and we see that it makes a difference. The teams that bring their youngsters to get the experience, it really helps them develop to deal with the pressure, and they come of age and they can put in performances like that.
Especially in a world championship like this one, where it does feel so big. There's the whole production, there's all the stuff going on around the venue. Does acclimatise an athlete leading into a Paralympic year. Okay, then Heat 2 results. Biachi takes the win in front of Shen and Perales. As we take a look at those who've made it through to the final. Biachi will go in the centre lane, flanked by Borgioni and Shen. Teresa Perales, the Paralympic legend, will be competing either side of We're quickly on to our next event. Men's 200 individual medley SM14. There'll be a lot of interest for the hosts in this one. And here is why. Here's your start list. Wong, Hong Kong. Yamaguchi, Japan. Shan, Hong Kong. Nakajima, Japan. Dunn, Great Britain. Schluter, Australia. Hamer, Great Britain. Catchpole, Great Britain. Wei, Hong Kong. This is a loaded field. Not this could easily, Liz, be a final. Easily.
Absolutely, there's great strength and depth across the SM14 men's category. And we're about to see an exciting race. These athletes can't afford to hang about too much.
No, absolutely not. 9 athletes in each heat. Total of 18. We will lose 10 for tonight's final. Medals in this championship all over the pool.
Yeah, and that black hat of Great Britain's Rhys Dunn having a brilliant meet. He won the 200 metres freestyle. He won the 4x100 metre freestyle relay. Not a bad World Championship debut for the man from Plymouth as he comes down this first leg to take the touch at the 50 metre point. As they go on to the backstroke, he'll be looking to consolidate that lead. But there is danger everywhere in this pool. Kiichi Nakajima of Japan, the Japanese athletes having a wonderful meet. They've got great media coverage here at this event. A year out from Tokyo 2020, the Japanese team are starting to make that move, and he will want to be part of that as well.
Well, as we move into the breaststroke here, you just keep your eye going well over in lane 1. Now Hide Yamaguchi swam a fabulous world record earlier on this week. In front of Scott Quinn in the breaststroke. So no surprise to Yamaguchi heading right up there in lane 1.
Chan Long-Tin of Hong Kong also going very well. We often see on these 200 metre individual medleys the breaststroke specialists reeling the early leaders in as we come to the final turn. But Rhys Dunn just holding on to the lead, and we know he's a strong freestyler here. Liam Schluter of Australia, a Commonwealth Games silver medalist as well. So he's got a strong freestyle, but Rhys Dunn here looking in control at the front of this field as we enter the closing stages of heat number 1.
Yeah, he's a great finisher, Rhys Dunn. Saw that earlier this week in the relay, and we will see it here as well. Glides into the wall, very strong finish. 2:13.21 for Rhys Dunn. We saw how quick he can go. He had to give chase and make up 25 metres over the 100 metres in the final leg of the medley relay. But that was far more controlled. It was a glidey sort of finish for that final 20 metres. Barely even moved his legs. He knew he'd done the hard work.
Yeah, Dunn there looked very comfortable. There was a bit of a domestic battle between his teammates going on over on the far side of the pool. Thomas Hamer just getting that touch over Jordan Catchpole by 0.14 of a second for those athletes to finish in 4th and 5th position. So we'll have to keep eyes on the second heat for the Great Britain athletes. We said there's danger everywhere in this event, and you can't afford to be on the wrong side of a touch.
Yeah, we take a look at the top of your picture there. We see Dunn and Schluter coming in, and the 2 British athletes at the top, both finishing almost at the same time. It is such a loaded field, this. There are no guarantees at all. It will be a nervy wait for quite a few of our swimmers there. Especially those in positions 4, 5, 6 and 7. Was a relatively slow heat. Parmentier, Ireland, Beta, Avers, Tokirin, Kreinik, Jonsson, Kuliabin and Lee. Second heat for the men's 200 IM SM14. The quickest in the world this year is the Japanese Dai Tokyo of Japan, 2:09.8. If he can go anywhere near that sort of time tonight, he's going to be in with a shout. He might need to go somewhere near that in the heats just to get him a lane.
Absolutely, and this butterfly length of the second heat is much closer an affair than we saw in the first heat, and it's Kuliabin taking the touch on that first leg all the way up in lane 7, but only by 3/100ths of a second. So there's still a long way to go in this event. Krynik now, Basil Krynik of the Ukraine in that white hat in lane 5, starting to forge ahead the rest of the field. But Mark Evers, the Paralympic champion of the Netherlands, that shaved head closest to us in this shot, he won't be wanting to miss out on the final either. So watch now as the breaststroke gives an opportunity for the field to open up, for split claims to be made for a place in this final. And lane 2's Ricky Bita going very well. We've seen him all week to put in very, very good heat swims, the Australian rookie. But at the moment is Krynik, who's managing to just hold in that first position as Mark Evers tries to get back on level terms.
Yeah, Evers is famously very, very strong in the freestyle. Giving himself a big shout here. The Dutchman, who was competing at the Paralympic Games here 7 years ago, won some fantastic medals there as well. He's got brilliant memories of this pool. As they come towards the finish here, it will be Vasil Krynik, barring something fairly miraculous from Evers, finishing really strongly on the free. Is Dai Tokyo of Japan does get himself up in third place. A much quicker heat. Krynik 2:10. 143 back is Evers. Tokyo 2:23 further back. All three going quicker than the winner in heat 1, Rhys Dunn. There is going to be a very, very anxious wait for a lot of those swimmers from heat 1. That was a much quicker heat, led by Vasil Krynik of Ukraine. Krynik pleased with that performance. Just waiting for the results to be confirmed from that race. Aymeric Parmentier in the outside for Belgium, still not got an official time yet. So this wait continues. Time has come in. Official results are in. Krynik, Evers and Tokyo confirmed as the winners. And well, we said that touch might be very, very important between Tom Hamer and Jordan Catchpole, Liz. Ricky Bita disqualified in that heat. As we say, that touch did make a massive difference. And here is why. Krynik qualifies in the quickest time, but Tom Hamer touches out Jordan Catchpole out of the final. Tom Hamer will go from the outside in lane number 8. Vasil Krynik, Mark Evers and Rhys Dunn will have the central lanes. Just goes to show, in a field as competitive as this, every hundredth of a second matters. It's a similar story for the ladies. Coronado, Spain. Oliveira, Brazil. Storm, Australia. Getz in Australia. Firth, Great Britain. Fidders, Great Britain. Indriani, Indonesia. Falk, Austria. And Carneiro, Brazil.
Well, Bethany Firth is the Paralympic champion for Great Britain from the Rio Paralympics. She's in good form this week, but we know that Louise Fidders has a brilliant breaststroke to rely on, as does Bethany Firth, but she didn't enter the individual event this week. Going strongly into this fly turn, it is Bethany Firth, who is 0.61 up on her Great Britain teammate Louise Fidders. Indriani is also going well in lane 6. But similarly to the men, there is potential in this 200-meter individually for people to swap positions quite regularly towards the back end of the field. But really, Bethany Firth is dominating this first 100 metres. She is a backstroke specialist. In fact, she's got 4 very good strokes. But it was in this pool 7 years ago that she won her first Paralympic title, and that was on the 100 metres backstroke. As she turns into this breaststroke now with a commanding lead over the rest of the field, Louise Phillips will look to break away from the company that she is keeping. Ruby Storm, the Australian, in lane 2, and Indriani still going well in lane 6.
Well, quite often we say in the medley the breaststroke is the leg you need to watch. That's the leg where everything changes. That's different when Bethany Firth swims the medley. It's the backstroke, because she just takes it away from the rest of the field. It's so strong.
Yeah, she does the damage in the first 100 metres of this medley, because while she is a very, very good breaststroker, she knows how good her teammate is. She knows that there are specialists in the field that can chase. And Louise Phillips, she was 4th in the 200 metres freestyle, so she hasn't got a bad freestyle either. So Bethany Firth really did try to make sure that she put in the effort in that first 100 metres.
Yeah, the double Paralympic champion in the backstroke. Paralympic champion in the medley for good reason. Another great swim from Bethany Firth. 2:25.32. She stops the clock. Fiddis will pick up second place. Good 4.5 seconds back. Long way then until third place there. Ruby Storm of Australia coming in third place in 2:39. But Louise Fiddis there. And Bethany Firth were the two in this race that were expected to do that. Just looking at the times they've swum this year. It's not far off Bethany Firth's quickest time of the year. But her challenge won't come in this heat this morning. It's a smooth swim, it's controlled. It is in behind. The challenge will come later on this evening. Results are in then from heat number 1. First, Fiddis. I'll put this through. Indriani in third, Storm 4th. Start list for heat number 2. McTurnan, Australia. Carnera, Brazil. Lindberg, Sweden. Chan, Hong Kong. Shabalina, Russia. Applegate, Great Britain. Barbatina, Russia. Patano, Japan. And Xiong, Hong Kong. Valeria Shabalina has been a regular on the podium this week. Myself, Jessica Jane Applegate and Bethany Firth just switching positions regularly on that podium, or so it has seemed. But Shabalina is a bit of a medley specialist. She's a European champion from Funchal, which is when she last competed internationally in this event, and set the world record in this event in that competition as well. It stands at 2:18.37. Bethany Firth, in winning that Paralympic gold, didn't have to race against Shabalina because she wasn't there. But a strong start from Jessica Jane Applegate of Great Britain, who will be there or thereabouts in this medley.
Yeah, Jessica Jane Applegate, her strongest stroke is the butterfly, but she was the Paralympic champion on the 200 freestyle in this pool 7 years ago. So she's got a good last 50 as well. And she was world champion in the 100 backstroke in Glasgow in 2015. So she's got 3 very good strokes. But breaststroke, by her own admission, is her weakest. And where Shabalina poses a danger for the challengers is that actually she would say that the breaststroke is her weakest event, and she was on the podium this week. So a world championship podium on your weakest event means that you do pose that threat to the rest of your competitors. And here we can see the difference in the strokes. It doesn't look like much at the moment, but remember, this is a heat swim, so it is a controlled effort from both athletes. But Valeria Shabalina now starting to open up a gap, pull away slightly from Jessica Jane Applegate and Jan Yu Lam of Hong Kong in lane 3. And the closest to us in this picture at the moment is having a great breaststroke leg, getting back on terms, making up a considerable deficit. But Jessica Jane Applegate, once they get onto the freestyle, will then look to consolidate that position. But here, Shabalina for Russia is looking very strong in that centre lane. She's really slowed down now, really turned off the pressure that she's putting through her limbs. She's just comfortably going through the motions in this final 25 metres because she knows she will have a challenge this evening.
In comes Shabalina then, final 10 metres for the Russian. It's a smooth swim. Still loads left in the tank for Shabalina. Jessica Jane Applegate will pick up second place with 5 seconds back. Slightly different to the men's event in the sense that we're expecting really 2 from each of these heats to really battle it out for those medal positions. So different heat swims from the main contenders there as they each manage their own energy levels and their own expectations. For the men, they didn't have that privilege. They had to go because it was just so competitive.
Yeah, there's definitely depth of competition for the places on the podium in this women's event, but it's exactly as you said, that the contenders really know who they are in this event. Probably 4 or 5 athletes going for those 3 medal spots, whereas in the men's event you had to move to get a place in the final. We saw that the 8th place qualifier was Thomas Hamer of Great Britain, and he only made it because of his disqualification for Ricky Peter of Australia.
Here we see the finish from Shabalina then. She won't be in lane 4. The world record holder, capable of so much quicker than that. Her world record is almost 10 seconds faster than that time. She has been swimming quickly this week. That was a really smooth heat swim and nothing more. Jessica Jane Applegate the same. 2:32.61 for the Great Britain. Here is the final later on then. And the top 4 there are all going to be pretty close, I would say. Sharon Lam might be able to swing a surprise. Likewise, Elizaveta Barbatina to jump into the medal positions. But don't be surprised to see that familiar trio on the podium once again. We stick with the medleys, this time in the SM8 class. First up, it's the men. Borodayev, Russia. Edwards, New Zealand. Ongles, Australia. Cancela, Portugal. Mortensen, Denmark.
Well, you see the good start at the top of the picture from Niels Mortensen of Denmark. He has an arm impairment, so he used those legs to get off the block well. That yellow hat of Australia's Jesse Ongles, the Commonwealth Games champion in this event. He's a double leg amputee, so he gets away more slowly off the blocks. But now we see him starting to reel the field in as we come towards the 50 fly turn onto that backstroke, and it is Mortensen that holds on to that lead. He's 0.93 ahead of Ongles, and Diego Cancela turning third, 1.14 off the lead. Mortensen here having a great first 125 metres. Jesse Ongles trying to use that strength that he has in that upper body to get back on terms. The breaststroke so often a telling tale in this event. Jesse Ongles with that double leg amputation is a classification lower on breaststroke, but it doesn't matter in the individual medley. In the individual medley, the classification is made up of the average of the impairment discrepancies over all 4 strokes. And here we see now Jesse Ongles hit the front of the race for the first time. He's got that high turnover of stroke to keep that momentum going, to prevent his body from sinking and causing too much drag, because then it's really hard to get going again. But Ongel's going very well here for Australia as he comes into that red marker zone, which signifies only 5 meters left of this breaststroke leg before he turns onto the freestyle and heads for home.
Ongel's looking very good then, 1:53.84 at the 150 metre mark. Niels Mortensen still having an excellent race for Denmark. He's going really well. He's done a lot of events this week from outside lanes, making a few finals here and there, but the medley is where it really starts to come together for Mortensen. And he's swimming nicely in second place. Jesse Ongel's here, really taking this one out pretty hard. And the Aussie comes in towards the finish here. He's going to be close to his best time this year. It shows how well he has swum this morning. Ongel's 2:29.26. Mortensen does indeed pick up second place. Well inside his best time this year. Well inside it, in fact. 2:38 was what Mortensen came in with. And he's gone on some 2:33. Jesse Ongel's then dips below 2:30. A good meet, the Aussie. A little tap on the shoulder for Kellen Edwards. Two will be used to competing against each other in the Oceania region.
It was the breaststroke where Jesse Ongel's made his move, hit the front, and then that first place touch for these to take out this first heat was then never in doubt.
It was almost the archetypal medley, wasn't it? The breaststroke was where it all changed and Ongel's came through. We see it so often in so many medleys, and this race no different in that sense. Heat 2 on the way. Here's the results from Heat 1 though. Ongel's wins it, Mortensen second, Canchela in third. There was disqualification for Kellen Edwards of New Zealand. Start list then for Heat 2. Zona, Canada. Martinez, Spain. Griswold, USA. Onia, Austria. Matos, Spain. Yang, China.
Well, we've talked about some of the athletes who have really had to wait all week to get to the business end of their program, and one of those athletes is Andreas Ona of Austria in lane 5. Not the case for Robert Griswold of the United States of America. We have seen a lot of him this week. He's had a busy and very successful program, and here we see that white cap of the USA for the morning's heat, leading at this fly to back turn.
Well, we mentioned it in Heat 1, didn't we, that Niels Mortensen swam a lot of different events this week, got a few finals and put it together for the medley. Griswold's almost like the extreme example of that. He swam a lot of events this week, got a lot of medals this week in different strokes, and now he can put them together on the medley. So strong over the backstroke, similar to Bethany Firth we saw in the women's SM14. That here you can see Griswold is really going to take this field out hard on the backstroke and make them chase him.
Yeah, and he knows that that is the best tactic for him. Breaststroke is weaker, or weakest of the 4 strokes. We see that flip turn there, very quick, very effective, good breaststroke pull out. But now as we see him up and into the breaststroke, he doesn't use his legs on this stroke. Therefore he has that short, sharp, quick stroke rate, but it does enable the breaststroke specialist like Onea of Austria, one lane to his right in 5, that single arm amputation to start to make his move and close the gap. Carlos Martinez Fernandez of Spain, similar stroke to Andreas Onea, different arm, opposite arm, so almost symmetrical. You can see there how he's going. And at the top of the picture, it's Yang Guangnong having a brilliant breaststroke as well. So we talk about it so often that breaststroke can change how the land lies. And Griswold's lead got cut significantly, but he did very well to hold on to it.
Yeah, he did indeed, and as they come towards home, get the sense this is going to be a very entertaining final to watch just from looking at these heats. Lots of different variables. And some interesting swims. Griswold here, very strong on the free. And he'll take this pretty comfortably in the end. 2:29.71, almost an identical time to what Jessie Ongle swum in the last race. Just under half a second back, and can almost already predict that final. Griswold is going to take it out really hard, and it'll be Ongles coming back on the breaststroke, and then a straight shootout on the freestyle.
Well, on the world rankings this year, the athletes are only separated by just over 0.6 of a second, so there really is nothing in it, and there's an opportunity for a whole host of athletes to join them or even try and stop them from getting on the podium.
Going to be a really good final, that. Griswold having a really good meet for the USA. Results are in. He looks pretty pleased with it as well. Yeah, thumbs up, he's happy. Job done. And the finalists are in as well. So Griswold, Yang and Onya, the top three in Heat 2. The finalists, meanwhile, are as follows. Ongles will have lane number 4. Griswold and Yang either side of him. Mortensen and Onya looked really good in those heats, and they will offer a decent challenge from the outside. Here comes the women's SMA, and there's a lot of interest around this event, let me tell you. The familiar figure of Jessica Long goes in lane 4. She's joined either side of her. That's the Czech Republic, Zheng, China, Palazzo, Italy, Long, USA, Istiolova, Russia, Richter, Great Britain, Niifi, New Zealand, Zudaye, Spain. There is Jessica Long, who almost on the down low swam an incredible leg in the relay yesterday for the USA on the fly to bring them back into that race and help get them onto the podium. She is swimming really, really well this week.
Yeah, Jessica Long, she isn't, by her own admission, in the form that she would normally enter a major championship meet, being slightly distracted in preparing for her wedding. This week had some other demotivating factors that have impacted her this year, but the butterfly leg that she swam last night in that relay was absolutely incredible to get Mackenzie Cohen back in that position to then fight for the silver medal. The thing was, the Great Britain team was so far ahead that nobody else in the field was in the shot, so it almost got missed. But Jessica Long, she is a phenomenal athlete. She has not shied away from a very busy program this week. I said she's not in the form she normally comes into these championships in, and a lesser athlete would have shied away from a busy program, or maybe shied away from the World Championships completely. But she loves to represent the Stars and Stripes. She feels a great honour for her country, and she has come in. She has won a lot of medals. She's swimming very well. This is the event that she was a Paralympic champion in Rio. She's been a Paralympic champion several times, but Rio was similar to this competition for Jessica Long in the sense that she had a lot of new people into her classification over the years. They were all targeting specific events, and she was swimming everything, and this was the one where she held her own and she managed to get on the top spot of that podium. But she had to wait till the end of the meet for it, which again is quite similar to here. We are on that penultimate day. She's going very well here on the breaststroke, but also going well is Victoria Shalova of Russia, one lane up, the arm amputee. So very traditional S8 swimmers, these athletes. The difference would be, again, that a breaststroker is reliant on their legs. So Jessica Long an SB7, whereas Ishalova is an SB8 also, across the board S8 for the arm amputee athletes. So here now we see that strong freestyle of Jessica Long pulling away. But Victoria Ishalova going very well here in this morning's heat.
Yeah, impressive swim from the Russian. Look really good, Istrianova. Jessica Long here. Just wondered if she's got something pretty special for us in this event. In she comes, 2:42.74. That is comfortable by her standards. She has gone quicker this year. And she would love to win this event. No, she's not at her lightning fast world record setting best this year. As Liz was mentioning, a lot of different extenuating factors for that. A nice moment here between Long and Istrianova. You can see there the baby face almost of Istrianova. Jessica Long knows all about what that is like, beginning her Paralympic swimming career at the age of just 12. But now a seasoned veteran, still not particularly old, but a very experienced, and she's gone out well in the heats there. It's not necessarily what she does in the heats, though, that will define today for her. This final will be loaded, and she will know that heading into this morning. She's done a job for the heats. Now she's got to relax and recover. She'll go again in the evening. Here are the results then. It's Long who wins, 2:42.74. Istrianova in second place. Palazzo, who picked up that great silver in the 400 in third. Tupu Niifi disqualified for New Zealand. Here's the start list for heat number 2. Florian Kova, Czech Republic. Winter, Denmark. Liu, China. Pavlova, Russia. Whiston, Great Britain. Tai, Great Britain. Supio, France. Doris, Canada. Mark, Germany. The first time we've seen Brock Whiston in an individual event, but it's safe to say she's in decent form, Liz, from that medley relay yesterday where she absolutely blitzed the breaststroke, which is her specialist event, but no great surprise to see Alice Tai flying away on the fly leg. 6 gold medals now for the Great Britain at this meet.
Absolutely, it has been the story of the week. The threat to Jessica Long's dominance in this event does come from the Great Britain athletes that you see in those centre lanes. Alice Tai making a good start down that butterfly leg. She's had a brilliant week and she's a great backstroke swimmer, but her weakness in this event is the breaststroke. So, as has been a theme in a few of these 200-metre IMs this morning, those athletes, Alice Tai is one of those that will be looking to get an advantage as much as she can in the first 100 metres of the race, because Brock Whiston was incredible on the medley relay last night on the breaststroke leg. She absolutely tore the field apart, and these two athletes were responsible for the first half of that relay team for Great Britain, and they opened up a 20-metre gap over the rest of the world. So we know that they are in good form. Even though Brock is making her debut at these major championships for Great Britain, she was in fact a national medalist in the breaststroke event in the able-bodied competitions for Great Britain before her impairment impacted her. But here we see, as we look at that breaststroke, so well balanced for somebody who has a weakness down one side. She's learned to minimise that as she comes through with that high stroke rate and has absolutely torn through Alice Tai, as Alice Tai would have expected on this breaststroke. Alice, a very strong freestyler, as we know, and as Brock Whiston here turns to go on to that freestyle, she will be in a very commanding position to get a good lane for the final tonight.
Over 50 metres, that was unreal from Brock Whiston. Tore apart Alice Tai's leads. And that won't be a surprise for Alice Tai. These two are teammates, of course. She'll know all about Brock Whiston's breaststroke. And as she comes towards the finish here, an impressive swim from Brock Whiston. Just keep an eye on the clock here. This is incredibly fast. How quick is it going to be? It's only just outside world record pace. Brock Whiston has surprised herself there.
Yeah, an incredible heat swim, and sometimes that's what you get from the adrenaline of your first major championship. She probably didn't get a lot of sleep last night after that relay. So exciting. But essentially, Brock Whiston is on a 3-day program here because she swam last night, she swims today, and she'll swim the breaststroke tomorrow. Whereas Alice Ty is on event number 7.
Yeah, you can forgive Alice Ty for coasting a heat, can't you? A European record for Brock Whiston in the heats. That world record is owned by Jessica Long, and it has stood since 2012 in the US Paralympic trials in Bismarck that year. Big beaming smile for Brock Whiston. She's been waiting to get underway all week long. She's making up for lost time, and how?
Yeah, she did all the damage there to that time on the breaststroke leg. Good butterfly. She's going to need a good butterfly because we all know how strong Jessica Long can be down that butterfly. And obviously Alice Ty, world champion on the butterfly. So it's going to be a very exciting race. And people won't panic when Brock Whiston, or if Brock Whiston is not in the lead at the halfway point, when they know she's got a breaststroke like that to fall back on.
Well, Alice Ty and Jessica Long will know that they will need to be in front at halfway, and by a decent distance, because that breaststroke is a game changer, to say the least. 10-second victory for Brock Whiston in the heats then. Alice Ty cruised home in second place there, 2:47, never really got out of second gear, and that is understandable given the British programme. It is a loaded final then. Brock Whiston goes through. Flew out in the heats this morning. Jessica Long and Alice Ty a touch more conservative, understandable given their respective programmes. That final will be a do not miss event. Here comes the start list for the men's 100 fly S11. Koval, Russia. Gunnarsson, Iceland. Tomita, Japan. Lemus, Colombia. And Matakash, Lithuania. Reminder, these S11 swimmers are totally blind. They swim with blacked out goggles and utilise tappers to let them know when to turn and when to finish. Some of the more remarkable Paralympic athletes, these men and women.
Well, going very well here. It is Uchu Tomita of Japan in lane 4. That black hat going very well here. You keeping a very straight line. He's going to get tapped now. Ooh, difficult turn for him there. But he's up and back into his stroke. It didn't affect his underwater phase. As you see him go now, he's opened up a huge lead from the chasing field.
Yeah, he really has flown out here, Uchu Tomita of Japan. Pretty close in second and thirds. Maxim Koval has been a little bit all over the place for Russia, so too Gunnarsson. But this has been really smooth from Tomita. When he comes towards the finish here, how quick's the time? It is quick, 102.8. Championship record for Uchu Tomita. He's not a million miles off world record sort of pace there. It's one that stood for a while, belongs to Enemid of Spain, set that back in Beijing in 2008, long time ago. A good swim from Tomita there, and he lost a lot of time on that turn as well. Didn't get away well off that turn, but once he was into his stroke, that was where he was impressive. Found the lane rope, stuck to it, kept his line. If he can tighten up that turn and cut out that mistake, he's going to go very quick tonight.
Yeah, well, we talk about the variables of the S11 event, and one of the big ones is those athletes that acquire their visual impairment and those that were born with it, because it's very difficult to teach the mechanism and the technique of butterfly, or any swimming stroke for that matter, to someone that's never been able to see. Their learning process is completely different, and if you look at the events, you will see those that have deteriorated over time and could already swim these strokes, and those that have learned with very little sight at all. And Tomita there with a very balanced butterfly. That is textbook butterfly, though the chances are that he at one point was able to have some vision, enough vision to see what a butterfly should look like. But some of these athletes have never seen anything in their lives, in which case they don't have a picture book or a reference point or anything, and you can tell that often by the way that they stand even.
It is amazing what these S11 swimmers are able to produce. Uchu Tomita, 62.8, then wins heat number 1 by a comfortable margin. Kobal and Gunnison in behind him. Here comes the start list for heat number 2. Dias, Argentina, Yang, China, Kimura, Japan, Belousov, Russia, Animed, Spain, and Menezes of Portugal. But it is so interesting. You cover a lot of different para-sports, and there are so many different visually impaired athletes. And no matter who you speak to, really, who might have amputations, cerebral palsy, all these different forms of impairments, what seems to be the common thing is that these visually impaired athletes who swim and run and ski, whatever it may be, blind, they seem to be the most respected by other Paralympic athletes, because everyone sort of admits, well, I can get by without my arm, I can get by without a leg, but I couldn't imagine not having my sight.
Absolutely, it is one of those senses that people rely on so heavily. And the other thing is, as Kimura takes this turn with a comfortable lead over Belousov, almost 1.5 seconds, the other thing to consider is the amount of trust you have to put in somebody else when you can't see anything, even in terms of your equipment, because there's rules to how many logos you rely on things, which way they have to face. We talk about the blacked out goggles all the time. Well, a lot of these visually impaired, completely blind athletes won't know if there's a mark on their goggles, so you are constantly trusting other people, and I think that's what a lot of athletes with sight would find difficult.
64.76 then for Keiichi Kimura. Very tidy swim. Kirill Belousov coming in behind him. Animed, the old world record holder, the old stager from Spain. Been doing this a long time. Owns that world record from back in Beijing, as I mentioned earlier on. Yang Bo-jun swimming that championship. He's a torchbearer in the torch relay ahead of the Paralympics of Beijing. He swam a good race there in 4th position. 100 fly, not his specialist stroke, but it's going to be 2 Japanese athletes going for gold here later on this evening in lanes 4 and 5. Finalists will be confirmed in just a moment for you, but Kimura there, very smooth, and himself and Tomita will know all about each other.
Yeah, and again, those the one category where the heats of the races don't actually give you too much indication of what could happen in the final, because there's so many variables that, again, it's almost like you wipe the slate clean and you start again.
In an interesting way it does, and then it totally doesn't. So because they have to treat it as a time trial, they have to go out quick because they don't have the knowledge of what the rest of the field is doing. But because there's so many variables, that almost doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
It's such a unique class, the S11s. It really is. Constantly entertaining, constantly inspiring great races. Here are the results from heat number 2. Then Kimura does indeed win it. Belousov second. Animed, the legendary Spanish swimmer, comes in 3rd. And here is your final then. Lined up beautifully. Tomita and Kimura will go in the middle lanes. They'll have Kirill Belousov and Maxim Koval of Russia for company. Championship record for Tomita earlier on.
Coming thick and fast for Japan this morning. Another athlete goes to them in this men's 200-meter freestyle S4 heat.
Here is the start list then for the S4. Only one heat of this. We will lose 2 swimmers ahead of tonight's final. Braja, Croatia. Smetanin, France. Sanchez Martinez, Mexico. Suzuki, Japan. Dadoan, Israel. Zhdanov, Russia. Leslie, New Zealand. Joe, Korea. Benevinsky, Ukraine. Malia, Israel. Full complement in the pool for this one. And Yes, foursomers really do tend to swim as many of the strokes as they can. So a lot of familiar athletes in this race. Cameron Leslie is the man in form, it seems, but so too Roman Zhdanov, who has swum 2 world records this week alone. Takayuki Suzuki yet to win a gold despite some fantastic individual performances.
The 2 athletes here need to be dropped for everyone else to progress to the final this evening. 10 swimmers in this and only 8 spaces in that final. So again, interesting tactics will be employed in this event. A lot of these athletes don't have the luxury of being able to control their pace too much because they are quite severely impaired, and therefore if they stop moving too many of their limbs at too quick a pace, then it can change their whole body position in the water, and it's rather than drop down 1 or 2 gears, you end up going into a completely different gear set altogether. And Taka Suzuki is an example of one of those athletes. He is a quadruple amputee, so he's got a very strong shoulder rotation, and the majority of his propulsion comes from that longest limb, his left arm. And if he was to slow down too much, then he would find that his entire body sunk in the water. And here we see him going very well. He was the world record holder coming in to the 100-meter freestyle of this World Championships. Had to settle for silver on that day, but then he is in Japanese record-breaking form. He had a brilliant 150-meter individual medley to take another medal. So it's not that Suzuki is swimming badly by any stretch of the imagination, but his competition has risen. And Roman Zhdanov of Russia, who turned in second there, he has come into form and has returned to international competition, going very well. And Cameron Leslie of New Zealand, well, he has taken everybody by surprise. Coming into this meet late, because flying in from Korea, but he has had 2 storming swims in the last 2 days to take 2 gold medals. But again, there is plenty of potential for a number of these athletes to get on the podium here. Ami Omadidon of Israel in lane 4. He is the European silver medalist in this event. He was a find for the Israeli team out of the European Championships in Dublin last year. He got on the podium numerous times. He challenged. He really made a name for himself and went from being the unknown to now definitely people have eyes on him, know what he's capable of. The element of surprise has gone, and now it's almost, can he carry the weight of expectation?
Well, he's doing it pretty well at the moment as they come towards the wall. This is a bit of a distance event for the S4 class, so there will be managed swims in this one, especially when they don't drop as many swimmers to make tonight's final. Zhdanov does win it, 2:58.21. Dadon of Israel coming in second place, Suzuki third. A quick time that from Zhdanov, and Dadon going along nicely behind him, going under 3 minutes. Pretty good going in the heats for this event. There will be 2 swimmers in the outside lanes who do lose for the final. There's Raja and Ariel Malia of Israel finish their race. A chance for the athletes just to experiment with how they're feeling. A couple of different race tactics. Suzuki went out hard and then dropped it off quite a bit in the second half of that race.
Yeah, there will be danger everywhere this evening in that event. Paralympic champion qualifying 4th for that, out of that race, just out of that race he was 4th. So very exciting. Jo Gi-song, he didn't swim the 50 meter, the shorter event. The Korean saved himself for his favoured distance.
Here are the official results. Zhdanov, Dadon and Suzuki, the top three. A little bit further back, Jogi Song and Cameron Leslie. As mentioned, Raja and Malia, the two drop. Next up is the men's 100 metre freestyle S7 races. We've got 2 heats of this one. Here's the start list for Heat 1. Ifrozinin, Russia. Basilov, Argentina. Toe, Singapore. Vicelli, Italy. Levy, Australia. Sukarev, Russia. And Gawalan of the Philippines. There is Federico Vicelli, who was tasked with anchoring the Italian relay last night in the 34 points event. So he's already swum 100 freestyle in the last 24 hours or so. He looked pretty good in it as well. He's up against some classes which had a natural advantage over him and held his own. After having such a strong meet. Vicelli looking to get in on the party.
Yeah, and another athlete who always finds himself tasked with that role of being the S7 in the 34-point relay team is Matthew Levy of Australia, 1 lane up from Federico Vicelli of Italy. And so they are in good company. They are both in good form. Matt Levy, actually, he's made him a name for himself as a relay swimmer, making up that strong combination. He's won Paralympic gold medals with that responsibility and has been swimming since Athens 2004 in that role for the Australians. But going here well is Sergei Shukarev of Russia, 1 lane up from that gold cap of the Australians. Now Vicelli starting to come through. He wants to get that touch for the final. Good lane in the final, that's preference, but it is Vicelli that finished quickest, 62.83, just 1/10 of a second ahead of Matthew Levy, and Shukarev was half a second off the eventual Italian winner.
Strong swim from Federico Vicelli, 62.83 the winning time for the Italian. Not many athletes to drop from this one. But there are quite a few very, very quick swimmers in the outside lanes of Heat 2, so it had to go a little bit quick. Good swim from Vicelli in the heat, 62.83. Levy in second place. Sukarev third. So Singapore in fourth. And from toe down, really, they all have their eyes on Heat 2. If it's a quick one, those final places could be in jeopardy. Here we go then. The start list for Heat 2. Ferreira, Brazil. Jones, Great Britain. Konenko, Ukraine. Serrano, Colombia. Borodajko, Ukraine. Trusov, Ukraine. Gladkov, Russia. Bjornstad, Norway. Familiar figure of Carlos Serrano of Colombia. Will he be celebrating again in this event? He loves the 100 freestyle. And away well.
Yeah, he has the best reaction times, the Colombian in lane 4, but the best underwater as ever coming from Yevgeny Borodajko of the Ukraine. 1 lane up from him. Had a difficult week by his standards, found himself in a lot of outside lanes. 4 finals this week, but there is class everywhere across this lane, and going well in lane 7 is Andrei Gladkov of Russia, who's made a brilliant comeback to international competition. He's had a great week in the S7 events, but Carlos Serrano really wants to win these sprint events, but this is where he gets challenged. The breaststroke specialist is ambitious with his freestyle request and what he wants to get out of these freestyle events. but he has got the speed on the 50, so it will be an interesting race this evening.
Yeah, really close finish. Doesn't bode too well for those swimmers who weren't that quick in heat number 1. It's a very quick race, that. And 4 swimmers pretty much finishing at once there. Carlos Serrano ending up in 4th place. The winner is Andrei Trusov of Ukraine. 2nd going to Brunenko. 3rd, Andrei Gladkov. 4th, Serrano. And Mikey Jones of Great Britain, I'm not sure he's going to have a time quick enough to make it through. It'll be very, very close. In fact, I've just seen who's made it through. We'll get that to you in a moment. It's a loaded final, put it that way.
Yeah, Serrano was 4th, but he was only half a second off 1st. It is going to be a tight race this evening.
And that was the finish. Very, very close. Here's the result then from heat number 2. Trusov wins it 63.7, and a bit of a blanket behind him. And as he touched, in fact, as well with Renenko and Gladkov. Here is tonight's final. This will be a belter. Carlos Serrano is in the outside lane, and that's how you know it's quick. Bocelli quickest through then. Levy and Sukarev going along nicely either side of him, and threats all over the place. Trusov, Renenko, Gladkov going to be from the outside. Carlos Serrano right on the outside. Sometimes say medals can come from any lane. That's one where you wouldn't be surprised to see a gold medal come from any lane. That is going to be close.
It is, but that makes these final sessions exciting, and that's what we found with the World Championships here this week in London. There has been consistently high quality racing throughout every night of the programme.
You see the sign there. That's Nanatai.
Well, she's been there all week. Is she hiding because it's her birthday? Or is she hiding because she hasn't got her headgear and waistcoat on?
I've got to love Team Ty. They have been here every single day, every single night. Right behind not just Alice, but all the British swimmers. To be fair, most of the other swimmers as well. They've been getting involved, cheering everyone on. Great presence up in the stands. And a very happy birthday as well. Here's the lineup then for the women's 100 free S7 heat. We've got 3 heats of this one. This is competitive. Velázquez, Panama. Thomas Kane, Australia. Lettenberger, USA. Gaffney, USA. Routledge, Canada. Kay, China. Weber Schreiber, Austria. Athletes in this event. There's no semi-finals. You've got to be in the top 8 to make the final. These heats, therefore, one would imagine will be pretty quick. No time to hang about in this 100 freestyle when we're losing 3/4 of the field.
Absolutely, and as ever with swimming, it does not matter what heat you are in or where you finish in terms of having to qualify. It is all about the 8 fastest athletes over the entire heats program that make it through to the final. So these athletes in the first heat, they cannot afford to hang around. Julia Gaffney of America there, taking the first turn comfortably. She's fresh off her maiden World Championship victory in that 200-meter individual medley last night, winning by 2/100 to the second from her compatriot Mary Wegerman. But also going very well here is Tess Ratliff of Canada, also in fine form, Canadian record-breaking form. She was on that podium with the 2 United States swimmers last night, and it looks like it is Ratliff here that's having a strong finish against the 2 USA swimmers. Ratliff's going to take this touch. 1:14.89 for her. Gaffney in second, just 3 100s behind, and Lettenberger gets the third touch. 1:15.29 there for Alia Lettenberger.
Places mean nothing. It is all about the times. Tess Routliffe will be well aware of that. 1:14.89, beating Julia Gaffney is a pretty good way to go about it. But it's going to be a very anxious wait for these swimmers. They are losing so many heading into tonight's final. Tiffany Thomas-Kane there in particular, very, very good over any 100 distance really, but 1:19.34 may not be enough. I would say based off the first race, 1:15 is sort of the par time that these swimmers may need, and those in Heat 1 are at a little bit of a disadvantage because those in Heat 2 and 3 obviously will be able to see how quick the swimmers go in the heats before them. Obviously never crossed the swimmer's mind to change their race plan based on what went before, but it does help maybe make you feel a little bit more comfortable if you know that time is well within your grasp.
Yeah, absolutely, and what you can't do is get caught up in watching the other athletes in your heat, because then sometimes you'll feel like you're swimming quicker than you are. So you have to stick to your own game, but these athletes know their pacing so well.
Shaheen, Turkey, Shamiyera Mandiana, Mexico, Newkirk, Canada, Graal, Germany, Tetsi, Italy, Duchesne, Canada, and Halevi of Israel. That's the start list for Heat 2.
Well, this is a quicker heat than the first one. Denise Graal of Germany, the European champion, in lane 4 in that pink suit, going very well. But Giulia Terzi of Italy looking to get back into the swing. She had a few days off, looking forward to rejoining the Italian party that is in full flow at these championships. They're having a brilliant meet. They've lost their spot at the top of the medal table, so they'll be looking to try and get that back. But as we know, these heat swims are all about giving yourself the best chance to get a place in the finals and then fight for those medals. And Denise Graal here looking strong for Germany as we approach the final 25 meters. She is a sprint specialist. She does enjoy these freestyle events, and she's going well here. She'd hope that a win in this heat, or even a second place out of this heat, would be enough to secure a place in the final. It was Denise Graal that got that touch, just holding off the fast finishing Italian Terzi by 0.22 of a second. 1:12.49 takes the win in that heat for European champion Denise Graal. Sabrina Duchesne of Canada also having a good meet. She gets the third touch. There we see those contrasting starts. Hardly anything in it at the turn. These two ladies will expect and hope to progress to the final tonight and then be in for a battle when the medals are up for grabs.
Yeah, the middle pair going 1:12 bodes well for them. It would take an exceptional Heat 3 for those two to be denied a spot in the final. Sabrina Duchesne going 1:16 might have a bit of an anxious wait. Shelby Newkirk 1:20 in 5th place there, and Erab Halevi in 1:19 in 4th might not be so lucky. Have to wait and see, but Denise Graal and Giulia Terzi doing what they needed to do. They should be safe into tonight's final. Here comes our final heat. Meri Mäkinen of Finland 1, Palian 3, Cone 4, Meister 5, Hontar 6, St Clair Maitland 7, and Wakuka in 8. There is Mackenzie Cohn, quickest into this event. Well, she's got the billing in lane 4 in the final heat. But we saw her go in the relay yesterday for the USA. She was given a great chance by Jess Long on the fly. But considering she was an S7 swimmer in a 34-point relay, swimming the anchor on the freestyle, she caned that final leg, Mackenzie Cohn. Obviously won the 400 gold earlier on this week, but over the 100 looked so quick last night.
Yeah, she did, and they really wanted to get that silver medal at the United States of America. They were the best of the rest. Mackenzie Cohn is the Paralympic champion in this event. Anna Hunter, who turned second there, she's the bronze medalist at the European Championships. So there is a high quality field here. And Ali Palyan of Russia, we saw her in the 20-point relays for Russia at the front half of these World Championships. So we know that these athletes are in very good form. Nora Meister has picked up a few medals. She is the European silver medalist, but she is a distance specialist. So she will be up against it. But Mackenzie Cohn here coming in to take this victory, looking very strong, very comfortable. 109.76 for her to take that in a convincing victory. The rest of the heat actually slower than the previous heats.
Mackenzie Cohn, that familiar now grinning smile, that is rapid. 109.76. She really makes a statement in that heat. Didn't need to go that quick, and she would have known that having watched the previous two. But she just focused on herself and bangs out a 109 in the heat. It's fantastic strength. Second place going to Anna Hontar in 114. Think she'll make the final with that. Annie Palliant is going to be less certain. Likewise, Nora Meister. And a bit of a gap there until Nicholas and Claire Maitland. And then the Finn, Mary Mäkinen. There's Anne Wakuka of Kenya comes in to complete the race. There's Team Kenzie up in the stands. Lovely London 2012 hat there as well. Representing. It's going to be a very, very interesting set of results, this. Mackenzie Cohn then is the winner. Annie Pallian will hope. So too Nora Meister. 1:15 is enough to make it. 1:15 is around about that borderline time. We mentioned after the first heat. It's going to be close to this. Here are the final results. Who has made the final? Mackenzie Cohn's the quickest, we knew that, and Annie Pallian scrapes in just in front of Nora Meister by 100th of a second. That's the margin. We knew that would be close. We've said a few times this week, goes down to the touch in heats that are as competitive as that, and Nora Meister misses out in the final by the tiniest of fractions. That's going to be a great race later on. Here comes the start list then for the next event, the men's 200-metre individual medley SM9. It's Schrenk, Spain, Gracia, Portugal, Tor, Hungary, Kalina, Russia, Diskin, Australia, Keshnar, Czech Republic, and McClements, Ireland.
Well, as we've said, this week for a lot of athletes has actually turned into a 3-day meet. One of those is Andrei Kalina of Russia in lane 4. He got his program underway properly last night in that relay team for Russia. A brilliant breaststroke leg showed us the kind of form that he is in this week. So he'll have this individual medley today, and then he'll look to swim the breaststroke tomorrow. But Barry McClements having a brilliant butterfly leg of this IM for Ireland, up there to get that first touch in lane 7. He's a great backstroker as well, McClement, and so he will need to be, because Andre Kalina, the breaststroke supreme, when he hits the turn at that 100 meters, that's when he will start to make his move. He got a silver medal last time out at a major championships in Glasgow in 2015. Federico Malacchi, the Italian, going in the next heat. He has been so dominant in this event in major championships over the last few years. He's double world champion, he's a Paralympic champion, he's a European champion. And Kalina, up until the Russian international ban, was always the man that was pushing him and often occupying that silver spot.
We noticed in the relay yesterday for Team Russia that Kalina was incredibly impressive. So he has an SB8, I think he does, Kalina. Was well up there with the SB9s. That's how quick his breaststroke is, and we can see that. He turned in third, and in 50 meters he's now first, and by 2.5 seconds. He is so effective on that breaststroke. And as he goes in towards home, he can maybe afford to take a little bit of a look around as he turns and realise how far the rest of the field was behind. Gives him an advantage as he comes into the freestyle. He knows he can afford to take a little bit of pressure off the gas.
Well, Jonas Kesner going very well here for the Czech Republic. He's holding off the freestyle specialist Timothy Diskin from Australia, but it is Kalina after that impressive breaststroke leg that takes the victory for this first heat. 0.45 ahead of Thomas Toth of Hungary, with Jonas Kesner getting that third place touch.
Kalina there looks so relaxed, doesn't he? That was an early morning breather for him. He's capable of going a lot quicker. 2:22.9. Actually, a relatively slow heat. We'll wait and see how the likes of Didier, Hodge and Morlacki take out heat number 2. Kalina there.
He's been dominating 100-meter breaststroke SB8
Yeah.
forever. He won the gold medal in Athens, the gold medal in Beijing, and the gold medal in London. And obviously then he wasn't even Rio, so...
No surprise to see that breaststroke, such a weapon in that medley for Kalina. He wins it through in 2:22.96. Tut of Hungary in second. And Kesner having a good swim in the Czech Republic, taking third. Loaded heat 2 then. Here's the lineup. Rekorovitz, Poland. Reynolds, New Zealand. Didier, France. Hodge, Australia. Morlacchi, Italy. Schkalkanau, Belarus. Garrido, Spain. And Borg of Malta. Tim Hodge, the youngster from Australia, he has got a fair amount of experience behind him, but he comes into this event the quickest in the world this year. He's got the great Federico Morlacchi alongside him.
Yeah, Federico Morlacchi and Timothy Hodge pretty evenly balanced here. Morlacchi is the butterfly world record holder. Hodge has a fantastic butterfly, a brilliant backstroke, and the two athletes are the same classification on breaststroke too, so it's not even a case of one having the advantage on that leg. And then we know that Morlacchi is a brilliant 400-meter freestyler, but Tim Hodge of Australia, he's an example of someone who gained so much experience from going to a World Championships. When he was 14 years old, he went to Glasgow in 2015, swam a full program of 7 events, finished 4th in his best event, which is not a bad effort in this highly contested S9 category for men. And then he went from strength to strength. Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast, got a couple of silver medals there, has come here, got his first World Championship medal, and here we see him now dominating that first 100 meters of this individual medley. At the halfway point, he is sending a signal. Federico Morlacchi will not be panicking yet. The 25-year-old seemingly quite old in this race at the moment, with Hugo Didier, the Frenchman, 17-year-old, also having an incredible week. He swam a phenomenal backstroke at the beginning of the week, only to be beaten by a world record from Malaki's compatriot, Simone Barlam. He picked up a surprise medal for many in that 400-metre freestyle yesterday, keeping Federico Malaki off the podium in that one. But Tim Hodge here, turning now for home with a sizable lead. Malaki just ahead of Hugo Didier, looking comfortable here. No doubt about the winner of this heat, though.
Yeah, Tim Hodge is taking this one out hard. And it's probably a bit of a relief to the S9 swimmers that Simone Barlam doesn't have much of a breaststroke. She'd probably go well in this medley otherwise. As they come under the flags, Tim Hodge is going to take this one down. The quick time, 2:18.77, a lot quicker than Kalina, certainly, on Heat 1. We thought that did look a little bit pedestrian. Malaki and Didier around about the 2:20 mark. Tim Hodge there. Seen this from some of the younger swimmers in the heats. They do like to go out hard. The likes of Malaki have been there and done it. So experienced, knows what he wants, knows what he needs from his body. Tim Hodge, though, wanted to get that quick swim in, wanted that lane number 4. He has got it. The quickest man in the world this year, 2:16.44 his time. And he swam earlier on. 2:18 the time in the heat this morning. By no means as quick as he can go. He wanted to get out pretty speedily, and he's certainly done that, Tim Hodge. He will have a prime lane for this evening's final. Coming in to finish is Thomas Borg of Malta. He's got 34th in the crowd from Malta as well. This morning, he comes in to finish. Confirmed results then of heat number 2. Hodge will take the fastest lane through to the final. Federico Malaki and Hugo Didier swam nicely. Reynolds and Calcanal of Belarus 4th and 5th. Jacobo Garrido, who had that fantastic breakout swim yesterday, might not make the final. In fact, he doesn't. That is the finalists. Hodge, Malaki, Didier, joined by Kalina. Turner's top from heat number 1. Great race,
We're in for another night of great racing, Steve.
It's amazing, isn't it? Really, really is amazing, this championship. So many of them. So many different stories and narratives to chew through. But ultimately, just loads of fast racing. Here's a start list for the SM9's 200 IM Heat 1 as they get underway. There's Roxon Canada, Maria Marquez Soto of Spain, Sarai Gaston of Spain. Oh, I was reading the wrong heat list. It's been corrected since from the one that I was given. Very much this, always got the back.
Tony Shaw here of Great Britain in lane 5. She's in British record-breaking form this week. She's taking out this butterfly event as we go. She's in good form. She knows that this is a real opportunity here to become a world champion, as do all of the other athletes in this field this morning, because world record holder Sophie Pascoe of New Zealand, who set a time of 2:25.22 this year in May, to go 9 seconds faster than anybody else in the world, has chosen to skip this event at these championships. She's swimming a reduced program here, so this does pose a real opportunity. There is threat from the others in the world rankings. Tony Shaw, without Pascoe, comes into these championships ranked 3rd in the world, with only 9/100 separating Tony Shaw's best time this season And the two Spanish athletes that we'll see going in the next heat, Noraya Marcos Soto, the European champion, and Sarai Gascon, the Paralympic Games silver medalist. But going well here, it is the athlete in lane 2. That is Zofia Konkoli of Hungary, who started the week in emphatic fashion with a gold medal for Fanny Isles in the SB 400 metre breaststroke. That seems like so long ago now, but for Tony Shaw, breaststroke is her weakest leg, and Daniela Jimenez of Argentina has had a great leg there. She is the Para-Pan American champion on the 100 metres breaststroke. She has been struggling since coming to London with a bit of fatigue, but here she's going well, and now it is Tony Shaw, fresh off that silver medal in the 400 metre freestyle last night, showing her endurance in this closing stages to take the lead, hit the front, and she'll want to get a good lane for the final tonight, because as I said, there is a real chance for a lot of these athletes to get a gold medal.
Tony Shaw will be looking for it. He really will. That's a good heat swing. 2:41.01. No doubt about it, she will feel very confident. Got her first World Championship gold yesterday in the relay. And she will like her odds. Been excellent all week. Plenty of podium finishes for young Tony Shaw. The young Scots. Up in Aberdeen. Wins heat number 1, 2:41.01. Will have challenges, no doubt about that. Mainly come from Zhu Jieling, who still go nice and quickly there alongside her in heat 1. The two Spanish in the next heat will offer a significant challenge. So too may the Aussie, Lakeisha Patterson. More on that in just a few moments. The result from heat 1. Tony Shaw wins it. Zhu Jieling of China second place. Daniela Jimenez picks up third. It's always nice when the officials completely reroute a heat halfway through a morning. Given so many pieces of paper, totally forgot about that one. Liz, as ever, the seasoned pro, rescuing the day. And we take a look here at heat number 2, and this one should be a really, really fast one. Marcos Soto takes up lane 4. Sarai Gascon in lane 5. And do keep an eye on Ellen Keane in lane 3. Got a quick time coming into this meet. The Irish swimmer, Lakeisha Patterson of Australia, the 400 metre freestyle champion in the race last night.
Yeah, again, opportunity everywhere in this pool. Ellen Keane, a strong butterfly swimmer. She is the European Championship bronze medalist in this event, but she's also the Paralympic Games bronze medalist on the breaststroke. So she'll be looking to hold with the two Spanish favourites and then utilise that breaststroke leg to gain her advantage. Katarina Roxon of Canada, 1 lane closer to us. She is the breaststroke Paralympic champion in that race, but Ellen Keane got the bronze, so she'll look to be having a good leg there as well. But you have to be in it. You can't leave yourself too much to do on that breaststroke leg. And here we see going very well in lane 4 is Noraya Marcos Soto of Spain. She was disappointed to get disqualified in her favourite event, the backstroke, earlier this week, and then last night just missed the podium in the 400 freestyle, of which she is the Paralympic champion. So she really is looking to make amends here today and get herself on that podium. Sarai Gascon, such a brilliant fly swimmer and sprinter, and she's really working hard. She's got 4 good strokes. Breaststroke would be her weakest stroke, but it is by no means weak, and she will see this as an opportunity as well. So really, danger everywhere, but there I see Ellen Keane doing very well. She is a breaststroke 8, as is Noraya Marcos Soto, but Noraya Marcos Soto doesn't have use of a left leg because she's a leg amputee. So, and breaststroke is a very leg dominant stroke, which is why we see the arm amputee Ellen Keane now coming through to join Marcus Soto at the front of this race. Keane just getting the touch there by 1/100th of a second, but Marcus Soto, a strong freestyler, will look now to just coast her way down this, get a good lane for the final. There we see Sarai Gascon, the other Spaniard here, coming back into the picture, and Ellen Keane will be pleased with the way that this individual medley is going this morning for her and for Ireland.
Yeah, Marie Marquez Soto, you can see, really powerful with her upper body in particular. Just glides through the water, not having to go to a solitary leg kick really too much. And cruised on home. I think Marquez Soto got the touch there. It's very, very close. The result hasn't quite pinned up for us. Obviously with the timing pad in lane 4. Very, very close to the touch there. Ellen Keane was right there. Sarai Gascon taking third. Nice moment there, Ellen Keane and Maria Marquez Soto just waiting. And there is the result, popped up on the scoreboard. Maria Marquez Soto won it by 1300ths. It was very close. The Spaniard very, very smooth in the freestyle and just showing her international experience there, the Spanish swimmer. Knew on the breaststroke that Ellen Keane would really have the advantage, but on the freestyle she knew she was strong and knew she didn't want to expend too much energy. It was smooth, the freestyle finish.
You should be hoping that she's swimming her way into the week. That happens sometimes. And so she knows she hasn't been in the best form this week. So she won't want to have gone all out in a heat because she's going to need those reserves for a tight final this evening.
Yeah, she was magnificent in Mexico, wasn't she, Marquez Soto? Won pretty much everything, so it seems. Not quite had the same impact here in London. Ellen Keane qualifies through, second quickest into the final. Tony Short will have a centre lane. So too will Sarai Gascon. Xu Xiling and Daniela Jimenez. Keith Patterson, the 400-metre champion, will be right on the outside. To move to the other end of the pool. And the 50-metre butterfly for the S6s. First up the men. And for the hosts, interested, of course, in the women's race. Plenty of the crowd anticipating that one, but here's the start list for the men. Antin, Rotas, Granichka, Crispin, Selim Bereyev, Sanchez, McLean and Christakis. Nelson Crispin has watched his compatriot Carlos Serrano sneak into an outside lane in the 100 free earlier on. And I'm sure he will have just taken note of that, Nelson Crispin. It's a big event this, the 50 flight. We've got 8 swimmers in this one, 8 swimmers in the next. We will lose half of all of our swimmers.
Well, the swimmers are just standing down here while we figure out an issue with what looks like the start signal. But as you say, Steve, this morning has been the story of sneaking into finals. A lot of big names find themselves out in those outside lanes for the finals of this evening. But what have you learned this week, Steve? If you've got a lane,
you've got a chance.
Exactly, you've got to be in it to win it.
It's interesting, isn't it? You spend so long commentating with someone over the course of the week that you just end up finishing each other's
sentences.
Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Can't believe you got a step doubles reference into the commentary this morning.
There we see Antonio Fantin of Italy and Andrei Granishka of Russia in lanes 1 and 3, starting in the water. Everybody else going off the block. And this is an example of one of those heats where you can't hang around because it is tight. It's going to be tight for the medals and it's going to be tight for a place in the final. that single arm there of Yerzhan Samaligrev of Kazakhstan going very well here. But Nelson Crispin now coming through to take heat number 1. 31.70, 0.32 ahead of the early leader, and it is European champion David Sanchez Sierra of Spain that gets the 3rd place touch.
Well, Crispin taking no chances there at all. Went out really, really quickly. Surprising swim in lane 3 from Andrei Branichka. He's had a really good week, the Russian, and I thought he'd be a lot closer than that. He goes 7 seconds slower than his entry time. I wonder if he's struggling with a couple of bits, but Nelson Crispin there, 31.7. Not his quickest time this year, but quick enough for sure. He knew he'd had that race up from the start. Salim Garayev coming in behind him in 2nd place. David Sanchez of Spain in 3rd. And his fellow Spaniard Alejandro Rojas also picking up a decent position. We'll take a look at the top 4 when 8 qualify from 2 heats. It's no guarantee, it will come down to time. There is, of course, a potential for all 8 swimmers from heat 2 to qualify. It's very unlikely, but it is indeed possible. And, oh my goodness, that's an important disqualification that's just come through in the venue. We'll bring that result to you now. Yerzhan Salim Garayev, who was 2nd in that race, disqualified, which opens up a few very quick times and might let someone into the final who wouldn't have otherwise got there. Here's the start list for heat 2. Juan Jose Gutierrez, Mexico. Zwane, South Africa. Chardin, France. Wang, China. Glock, Brazil. Martinez, Mexico. Vigino, Philippines. And Gutierrez Bermudez of Mexico. And a rapid start. We've become used to that from Wang Jinggang in lane 4.
Yeah, he's made the most there of that underwater phase, getting ahead of the rest of the field, who will try and trace him down. The best of the rest is currently newcomer Laurent Gerard of France, who had a brilliant freestyle event this week, going very strongly here for France, finishing well, and it's going to come down to the touch.
It is indeed, and it is Wang who just gets there, 800ths of a second quicker than the Frenchman Laurent Chardin. Second place to the Frenchman then. 3rd to the Mexican in lane 6. Towson Glock down in 4th, and maybe a bit of an anxious wait for him. It's a European record for Laurent Chardin. Great swim from the Frenchman. Having a decent last couple of days are the French. 4 medals yesterday. And Laurent Chardin setting his marker down in the heats this morning with a great swim.
Yeah, the French have had a brilliant meet, and there again, they're an example of a team that keep bringing these newcomers, and they keep delivering.
And here's all the results for heat 2. Jinggang Wang of China wins it, 31.38. Laurent Chardin 2nd, European record time. Here are the finalists for this event. Towson Glock does indeed make it. So too does Juan Jose Gutierrez and Alejandro Rojas. Nelson Crispin will have a central lane for Colombia. The women's 50 fly S6 will certainly catch the imagination of this home crowd. Here's the start list for Heat 1. Garcia, Brazil. Liu, China. Turner, Ireland. Jiang, China. Fyodorova, Russia. Sakona of Greece.
Well, Ireland here with a real chance to get a medal. Nicole Turner in lane 4 is the European Championship silver medalist, so she's going very well. She'll be looking to do great things here, but it is again Yang Yuan of China in lane 5, the new phenomenon in the S6 category, who's in brilliant form, that will be looking to spoil the party. Nicole Turner going very, very well here this morning. They're neck and neck, and now Yang comes into the finish, and it will be that longer arm of Yang that takes the touch. 0.36 ahead of Turner, with Liu Doming of China in third.
Yeah, double amputee is Xiang Yuyan. Really good time as well, by the way. Championship record time that's come in as in 36.18. And she has had such an explosive week in her debut international competition. And she is suited to the flight.
Yeah, her fly and her freestyle not too dissimilar. That one-sided dominant stroke proving to be very effective, but great swim there from Nicole Turner. Fresh off the relay last night. First time Ireland have ever had a relay team, so that was exciting. So she's done well to control her adrenaline and the fatigue of that last night to swim well this morning.
Well, the anticipation builds inside the venue for the hosts. One of the great moments of the 2016 Rio Paralympic Games was Ellie Robinson's 50-metre fly, and the champion and the world record holder has been kept waiting all week to get going in her favourite event. And she knows now that she will have some very strong competition. Probably knew that already, but factually now, championship record set in the heat before her confirms her suspicion. She's got Oksana Krull and Victoria Savtsova either side of her to contend with in heat 2.
Well, Ellie Robinson, this is the one that she has been waiting for. The great British athlete is the Paralympic champion. She is the European champion, and she will be looking to become the world champion. Oksana Krull was the world champion in Ukraine for the Ukraine in Glasgow in 2015. But here we see that powerful, dominant stroke of the Northampton-based athlete here, really setting out her marker this morning in these heats.
She's going really quick, Ellie Robinson, as well. That is very, very fast in the heats. 35.72. Zhang's championship record lasted all of about 2 minutes, if that. Ellie Robinson responds. 35.72. That is not far off her world record, only about half a second. She affords herself a small smile. She will know her business is about to pick up a little bit later on. But she looked really good there, didn't she, in that heat? Very strong, so powerful over the flight. It's the one thing you notice over the sprint distance with Ellie in particular, with the flight, brings those arms forward so powerfully.
Yeah, and that's going to be a very exciting race tonight, because a lot of the athletes have completely different impairments, therefore completely different ways of swimming that race. So it will come down to the wire, and it'll be a very interesting race. But Ellie Robinson there, half a second off her world record, so she does have time in hand.
Swam that in Sheffield last year at the World Series, did Ellie Robinson. And the results still not officially confirmed at the moment, which, as we know from previous experience, is a little bit of a nervy time for the athletes. No one really knows. Could be just a timing error. The officials having a little bit of a chat down on the pool side.
It's a very British sign there. Go Team GB, brackets, but you're all amazing. Close brackets.
That's so British. Alec Peen's supporters are in. What a suit, sir. That's magnificent. I would like to borrow it for this evening's session, please.
That suit travels everywhere. No, you are completely impartial in this commentary box, Stephen Jameson.
I am, but it just looks so fly. Well, we do have the results in, and it is a disqualification, and it goes in lane number 5, or lane number 3, I should say, Victoria Savtsova. She did finish strongly, but disqualified. A championship record for Ellie Robinson. beating the championship record set by Zhang Yinyan mere moments before. Nicole Turner will go in the centre lanes alongside that pair. Here to start this for our next event, the men's 50-metre freestyle S3. Becker, Brazil. Zarate, Mexico. Belyaev, Russia. Palamarchuk, Ukraine. Ostapchenko, Ukraine. Martinez Tajuelo, Spain. Kostakis, Greece. And El Sayed, Egypt.
Well, this is a combined event. Bruno Becker da Silva for Brazil in that yellow hat down at the bottom of the picture is the only S2 athlete in this heat, actually in the entire field. Everybody else is an S3 athlete, so they're all racing against the same set of records, one set of medals up for grabs, and going very, very well here. It is Denis Ostapchenko of the Ukraine in lane 5 with that very distinguished backstroke stroke that he has.
And they come towards the wall. Two very full heats here in this event, so they will need to go out pretty hard in the heats this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, Ostapchenko wins it in 47-47. Palamarchuk comes in a couple of seconds behind. I mentioned wanted to go out quite hard. Well, Denis Ostapchenko, 47-47. That is only 2/10 off the quickest time he has swam this year. Great swim in the outside lane from Youssef El Sayed of Egypt. 61.66 is an African record. He's absolutely smashed that time, 4.5 seconds off the time he set earlier on this year. Constant improvement for the Egyptian team in particular.
Yeah, they have had a lot of African records this week.
Really noticeable, isn't it? Ostapchenko and Palamarchuk, the two quickest through. Zarate of Mexico in third, just touching out Martinez Tajuelo of Spain. And they will have to wait to see how Heat 2 fares. Zasbayev, Kazakhstan, Kotovsky, Poland, Patterson, Australia, Zhu, China, Lopez Diaz, Mexico, Boni, Italy, Bersri, Thailand, Top, Germany, Manavlatets of Ukraine. And we saw Diego Lopez Diaz put in a brilliant performance in the 150-metre medley a little bit earlier on. So 2 Grant Patterson. And Grant Patterson salutes his teammates up in the crowd. Another one of those athletes that just has such an infectious personality.
Thank you, Mark.
Variety of starts once again in this event. Very good start there coming from Bazayatov of Germany. Busy morning for some of these S3 athletes. We've seen a few of them in the SM medley event already, but here Toff going very well at the top, using that underwater kick to maximize his advantage. But here comes the informed Diego Lopez Diaz. He's got company from European champion Vincenzo Boni, who's had to wait his turn to join the Italian party. He'll be looking to get on the podium this evening, but here we see Lopez Diaz dominating his second heat of the morning.
We saw him on the blocks in the medley, laser focused. There's Lopez Diaz. And it looks like he means business today, doesn't he? Great performance in the medley, great performance in the 50 as well. He's going to take some stopping tonight. Great swing from the Mexican. With the field just starting to come in.
Something great form today. Could be a very profitable evening for Mexico and Diego Lopez Diaz.
Difficult program for him today as well. It's not often the lower category swimmers will often swim 2 races in one day. Now 4. But he's coped with it really well so far, Diego Lopez Diaz. 45.02 his winning time for Heat 2. Here are the finalists. Lopez Diaz will have lane 4 alongside him, Denis Ostapchenko and Vincenzo Boni. Next up is the women's 100-meter backstroke S10 heats. Same heats, it is just a single one of them. They need to lose 1 swimmer from this lineup of 9. Benito Gatena, Spain. Carl Estonia, Roulet, France. Riva, Canada. Papp, Hungary. Kruger, Netherlands. Greenwood, Australia. Jenkins, USA. Hernandez Santos, Spain. This meant something of a unique one for the women's S10 category. As Aurélie Rivard does not own the leading time in the world this year. That belongs to Bianca Papp. Lisa Kruger has also gone quicker than Aurélie Rivard. But the Canadian is swimming brilliantly this week. Do not count her out by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, and the tussle here will be in the outside lanes as the 2 athletes vying for a place in that final, according to the rankings and the entry times, are only separated by 0.4 of a second. So as we've seen with a number of these S10 races in the heats for the women, the athletes might not give too much away from the centre lanes. They'll be saving themselves for this evening and another opportunity to attempt to get on the podium is world champion, European champion Bianca Papp of Hungary, that is in the lead at the halfway point. She is the backstroke specialist in this field, so all eyes will be on her. But there is danger everywhere. There's a lot of major championship medals in the pool, a lot of opportunities for some athletes to get on the podium at these championships for the first time. But Bianca Papp here looking very strong, very comfortable in this morning's heat.
Very smooth from the Hungarian, wasn't it? 69.29. Only about a second off her quickest time this year. Lisa Kruger going well in second place. Job done from Bianca Papp. Roulet picking up the 3rd position there. Jasmine Greenwood just touching out Aurélie Rivard, who is smooth through in 5th place. She could afford to manage that race a little bit more. She's on a busy programme. I knew that only one would go. The results are in. There it is, Isabel Hernandez, who will miss out on the final. Julia Benito Gatena just getting the better of her.
This is the mixed 4x100 metres freestyle relay 40 seconds.
It's relay time then. We've got the Mixed 4x1 freestyle relay, 49 points. 2 heats of this to come. In our first heat, China, South Africa, Spain, Japan, and Russia. With the 49-point relay, picking up the vast majority of all these swimmers have in common. In fact, all of them. It's the visually impaired race, so it's the chances for the S11, the S12 and the S13 classes to have themselves a relay. And obviously there are some issues that they've got to look over and deal with the tappers, the timing of the combinations and the changeovers. They've got to work that really, really strongly, these athletes.
Yeah, and as with any of the relays that we see, whether it be the S14 races, the lower point 20-point relays or the 34-point relays, each team and each squad has its own issues and its own challenges. There are a range of combinations that can be utilised. Obviously, one of the biggest issues that these visually impaired athletes have to deal with is when they do the takeover, one, being told when to go, but two, avoiding the tapping sticks of the athlete who are coming in. So again, there's additional issues here, but essentially what has to happen, 2 rules that have to be stuck to, is that each team has to field 2 males, 2 female athletes, and the combination of their classifications cannot exceed 49 points. So it can be less, but it cannot be more. So again, there are a range of ways that can happen. You can have 3 S12 swimmers and an S13 swimmer. You can have 2 S13 swimmers, an S12 swimmer and an S11 swimmer. They're probably your strongest combinations. And a lot of these athletes who are extremely strong, and these squads that are extremely strong within these visually impaired classification groups, when it comes to the relay, they are limited by what they have available to them. Like the Ukrainians, if they're all racing each other, then you don't have anybody else. Or the Dutch, for example, have 2 brilliant S11 swimmers, but they don't have the other athletes required to make up the team. So it's very exciting, it's very interesting, and going very well here at the top in lane 6 are the Russians. Now we're onto the female legs for the Russians. So the Russians went 2 males, 2 females, 11, 12, 12, 12. And here we see Maria Latrutskaya turning first for the Russian Federation, ahead of Spain, and that is Ivan Salguero-Orteza, their S13 athlete, going very well. The Spanish chose to go male, female, male, female. And it's paying off now as Salguero-Orteza catches the early lead that the Russians had and takes the Spaniards into the lead, as he will hand over to Mariam Polo Lopez, who's an S13 female athlete. The Russians, sticking with the female theme, they've got the tall figure of Anna Krivshina, the S12 silver medalist in the 50 and 100 meter freestyle this week, going very well here for the Russians. She will look to reel in that Spanish lead that was forged by Salguero-Orteza. And as we come to the turn, the Spaniards just have it at the moment. Polo Lopez holding off the charge of Krivshina, but keep an eye on lane 7. Currently in 3rd position, it is Japan's Tomomi Ishura, the S11 athlete. So there's excitement brewing from the Chinese media at the far end of the pool. But here now it is Krivshina taking the lead, and she will look to secure the victory of this first heat for the Russian Federation.
Great swimmer to have on your anchor. Anna Krivshina cruises in on the anchor leg. 4:02.05 for Russia. Spain just in behind. She had a very fine race. And there Here's the tap for Japan. He just touched out South Africa. Job done for Russia, so much so that Kristina's teammates have already gone to swim down. But she is such a dangerous swimmer, and depends on how the final obviously lay out with who she'll be up against in the fourth leg. If Russia are in with a shout, with 100 metres to go, Kristina is going to go very, very close.
Absolutely, that is a strong squad for Russia, but what tends to happen with these teams is they wait till the conclusion of the heat, and then they decide whether they're going to stick with the same combination, and if they are, even stick with the same order of where they put their males and females, because the tactics do come into play. We've seen it in the other relays earlier this week. Is it better to be the chased or the chaser?
Well, that's ultimately what it comes down to, because your tactics don't necessarily affect how quickly you swim, right? It's the same swimmers, they swim the same amount of distance, it's going to be the same time, but it just depends on whether you want to lead it out or whether you'd prefer to chase it on home, and that's the question that the teams will have to deal with a little bit later on. And also got to think about how they second guess their opposing teams as well. But there's the results from heat number 1. Russia win it, Spain just in behind, Japan and South Africa third and fourth.
Yeah, and as we were discussing, the other thing is, do you put your S11 athlete first? They tend to be the slower athlete in the squad, but at the same time, they're the one that can't really cope with the takeover, because they rely on their assistant to tap their leg when it happens and then go. So there's a delay there. So there's so many things to consider, as ever, with these visually impaired races.
Start list for heat number 2. So we're not going to have Germany, who were slated to compete in this one, in lane 3. So an empty lane 3 means Brazil are going by themselves. No Germany, but we do have Ukraine in lane 4. They are the world record holders and the reigning European champions. And with a team of Katerina Tkachuk, Serhii Klippert, Maxim Varaksha and Irina Matlow, that is not too difficult to see why.
Oh, and here we see all of the countries except for Australia starting with their S11 athletes, and it is Mateus de Souza for Brazil leading here. He was the second placed Brazilian S11 male in the 100-meter freestyle last night, so we do know that they could potentially substitute him in the final, but he's going very well here against Jenna Jones of Australia, their S13 female. So here we see Mateus de Souza. He'll come in to hand over to world champion Maria Carolina Gomez Santiago, the S12 female athlete in the Brazilian squad. So the Australians are now chasing with their second female, second S13 athlete, Katja Dedekin, up there in the top of the picture. These two teams are as far away from each other as they could possibly be in this pool, lane 2 and lane 7, and it is Maria Gomez Santiago that's holding that lead for Brazil at the moment. A nice battle in the center developing between Ukraine's Serhii Klippert, the S12 male athlete for him, the first of 2 S12 male athletes for the Ukraine, and Alessia Berra, the female S12 for Italy. This is going to be very exciting, but there at the front of your picture, it is double sprint world champion Gomez Santiago for Brazil. She hands over to Luciane de Silva Souza, the other S12 female in this squad, and the Brazilians at the moment have a sizable lead, but the Australians are now onto their male athletes, and Braden Jason, who has been in oceanic record-breaking form pretty much every time he's got in the water this week, leads the charge. But here comes Maxim Varaksha, Ukraine's S12 Supremo. He's the fastest para-swimmer male athlete ever to grace para-swimming waters. He hasn't had the best meet by his standards this week, but he was on the podium and he is swimming well, and you would never bet against him. And here we see now him making up that deficit. He has taken a chunk out of that lead, and he will look to put the Ukrainians in a very, very good position as he will hand over to Irina Matlo, S13 female athlete for Ukraine. But it is Australia who have back-ended their team. Jerry McClure, an S11 male swimmer, has entered the waters for them. And the early leaders, Brazil, will have Guilherme Batista Silva, an S13 male athlete, on their final leg. You can see him to the left of your screen in those blue swim shorts. He is now trying to overhaul the Ukrainians, which he's managed to do. From that camera angle, it's very tight, but it looks like Brazil might just have hit the front here as we go into the final 50 metres.
Well, this is really close, and one thing that we do know is that the swimmers won't know where they are relative in this race. They're all very far apart from each other. And as they come towards the wall, they have to treat it somewhat as a time trial. It is Brazil who are going to take this one down by the looks of things. Guilherme Batista brings it home very, very nicely. 4 minutes, 0.38. A good time for the Brazilians. It will be Australia who come in second, Ukraine in third. The world record holders. Brazil looking very pleased with their morning's work, and so they should be. America's record for Brazil. Considering a lot of this team are swimming in the Pan American Games in Lima not that long ago, and have had to deal with all sorts of things like fatigue, tiredness, jet lag over the last couple of weeks. Going swimming America's record in the relay at the end of another very long week is pretty good going.
Yeah, it sets it up for an interesting final. A few teams there have opportunities to make changes, bring in faster substitutes. The Ukrainians swam without their S11 female 50-metre freestyle world record holder, Podubna, so there is opportunity for a different looking final to line up this evening for a number of heats. But a great swim there. But again, an example of how restrictive a relay combination can be is that Belarus were in that heat. We all know how good the Belarusian visually impaired team is, but they brought up the back end of that heat.
Here's the results then. In the mixed 4x1 freestyle relay, 49 points, heat number 2. Brazil take it down with an America's record, 4 minutes, 0.38. Australia second, Ukraine third, then Italy and Belarus. And here's tonight's final. Brazil will have lane 4, flanked by Russia and Spain. Australia and Ukraine, very dangerous to have outside of them. And Italy also going right along in the mix there. Japan and South Africa offering the threat from the outside. As the spectators start to leave us here in the London Aquatic Centre, that should tell you all you need to know. It's almost time for me and Liz to leave you from this morning. We've enjoyed another great heat session here at the London Aquatic Centre. And once more, for pretty much the 6th day in a row, we are all set for a great finals session tonight. Japan have had a great morning, so too have Great Britain. Spectators have really enjoyed themselves today, and we're expecting a full house inside the London Aquatic Centre when we return later on this evening. Me and Liz, we'll see you then. We are live from 6 o'clock local time for day number 6, the finals for the London 2019 World Paraswimming Allianz Championships. We'll see you then.